where you go in this world, there is no place like home. I in my zone. You better hold on and take control. Deep down in Barbados soul, all they see is gold. To all my friends and family, lock your house before your party. They might watch your property and come offer your big money. You must protect your legacy. Leave something for your family. Tell them real and come again. But come and take a job with me. But they just not for sale. My people not for sale. No, enjoy the beach and sun all day. But they just not for sale. This place not for sale. I know you love the PM. The whole world will be watching. I know you love Rihanna and you can't wait to come from Bacova. You can't wait for the weekend to eat fish down in Oysters. I know you love the people, be friendly to all and you love up the accent. Every day people crying out about debt and not for we living from paycheck to paycheck. No sharks lurk in society.
Yes to Barbados, yes to Barbados, yes to Barbados. Firm craftsmen of our faith. And tonight, we are excited to be with you tonight. If you are just joining us for the first time, you have joined the Marcia Week Show, and we're coming to you live from Barbados, beautiful Barbados. Let me tell you, most easterly Caribbean island. Oh my goodness, deep blue sea, lovely Barbados. And that's what we are seeking to preserve. So tomorrow, it's a big day for us, loyal opposition. Good evening. It is a big day for us tomorrow. Yes, a big day for us tomorrow, guys. It's the Love Barbados March. The Love Barbados March is going to be tomorrow. Yes, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock rock. The Love Barbados March is tomorrow, folks. Oh, my word. And let me say, Vernon Guards, good evening. And Bajan boy, listen, you have to spend a little moment on the people. Teroni Hall, hope to see you. Jade tomorrow. Judy Jilts, hope to see you. Nat Grant, I hope to see you. Mildred and Jacqueline Aline as we stand up for our country. Angela Burke and Houston Fields. Marcia, my namesake. Jacqueline Ward, I hope to see you. Sue Monique Innes, I hope to see you. Mystic Angel, Sandra Watkins, Shirley. A very pleasant night to all, she says. CG, March tomorrow, hope to see you. Cami, hope to see you. Bonnie Springer, oh, I hope to see you. Tyrone, listen, this is a march showing our love for Barbados. We are marching to show our love for our country. Tony Paris, Lucinda Allen, yes, Lucinda Michael Jones, Jefferson Roberts, Sobers, I can't read, Jacqueline Ward, Flojo Maloney. Listen, we are saying that when we privatize our paradise, the public loses, because we lose our access, our windows to the sea. Yes. Yes, Tony, you'll be there. M. Gardner, Sean Yard, wonderful. Nigel Carrington, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow is a big day for us in the loyal opposition. Those of us, and the loyal opposition, remember, consists of all 280,000 of us. We consider ourselves a pressure group. You know, Glenn Murray is who defined us months and months ago, actually, and you know, made us understand that we were a pressure group, and that's what we are. And so we're going to come out tomorrow. We are meeting at where there used to be the liquidation center. Okay, that is where we're going to be meeting. Right now, I passed it yesterday, and it's actually, you know, majority of it is demolished. So you're not, those of you who don't know, you're not going to see the actual liquidation center there. They remember that they demolished it. So you're going to be in that area. So if you can position yourself anywhere close to Massey, where Massey used to be, right in that area, I believe that we should be able to find you. Okay. And in any case, when you get there, God willing, the truck will be there already, and so you will know exactly where you need to be. Yes. Now, what are we wearing? Thank you, Judy. We're wearing the colors of the flag. We're wearing the colors of the Barbados flag. The colors, that's all they represent. It's the flag. All right, and it's a Love Barbados march, and so we're wearing Barbados colors. We will have flags for you. All right, so we have quite a number of flags. If you have flags at home and you want to bring your flag, that's wonderful. Okay, but we do have extra. We have flags for you. Okay, if you need to, you don't have a flag. We will also have water prepared for you as well. We will also have water. We thank that young man who has been providing water for us since we started. And I just want to say hello to him. I don't want to say his name, because sometimes people donate and they don't want everybody to know who they are. So I won't say his name, but if he's listening, he knows. And he knows that we appreciate what he does for us. Yes, yes, yes. And I just want to take this time out to thank, to big up the team, Kathy Weeks and her team, and they take care of the road. Yeah. And so we want to mention them. I know I can mention Kathy's name, so I'll mention Kathy's name. But if you work on the road, we want to just to thank you. You're the person who makes sure that there's order on the road. We have our permit already, thanks to Lumumba, who went and collect the permit. Listen, we are a full team. We are a full team, I tell you. Okay, so Lumumba Lumumba went and collected the permit for us, thanks to the Commissioner of Police for granting us the permission. That's who grants permission for permits, nobody else. Nobody else, right? So we want to thank the Commissioner of Police and the goodly inspector there who organizes it all for us. Don't want to call too many people's names on here, but I want to thank them for doing a fantastic job, very efficient. Thank you so much. And I was told by Senior Superintendent Brooms that we will have police there tomorrow. So feel free to come down tomorrow. Bring your neighbors, those people in the Bayland, Nelson Street, you know, those people in Wellington Street and Beckles Road and all of those places. You come on out and, you know, let us ask the questions for you. What's going to happen to that, to all those communities? What are they going to do with them? Are they going to move them? Where are they putting the people? What are they giving them in exchange if they're going to move them? Who will represent those people? Who will represent those residents in the area of the Bayland and Beckles Road and all those in Wellington Street and Nelson Street? Who will represent them? Yes. And so we want to be able to stand up as citizens on behalf of other citizens. Yes, I think that is very, very important. That we do that. Yes. Now we've also distributed letters of invitation to several of the residents in those areas, thanks to Reverend Steve Skeet, who lives in the community and help us to be able to reach the people in the community. And we want to thank you, Reverend Steve Skeet, for facilitating that for us, that we were able to get these letters to various persons in the community, inviting them and informing them about what we believe is happening. Some of the persons there, you know, not everybody understands what is happening, and so I think those letters were great. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the loyal opposition member who, you know, I could just call her and she printed all of those letters. You see, it's a team. So those of you from the government, you come to watch. Yeah. You come to watch, and you come to because you think that if you spread lies on me and if you tear me down, that the show is going to go, or the loyal opposition is going to you know, it's going to dissipate, it's going to be destroyed, it's going to no, there are too many persons involved. I tell you. Did you hear what Caswell said the other night? The Marcia Week show is not even dependent on me nor him, right? No. Yes, and he, myself, and Maxine McLean were the original ones on here in this season, right? Before that, it was just myself, and then Maxine McLean and Caswell Franklin came and joined, you know. And then others were added later on. But the point I'm saying to people like Matthew Brown, listen, you think that if they get me off the air, or if they spread all kinds of rumors on me and I have to come off the air or whatever they do, you know, you think that Matthew Brown is going to stop what he's doing? Listen, Matthew Brown is going to continue, and there'll be so many persons that will rise up and start to do more. So if I were the government, I just keep going. Stop it. It's not going to work because there are too many of us. I was able to pick up a phone and somebody said, listen, I'll print not two, hundreds of letters printed. Yes. I wrote the letter, sent it off. Mr. Murray, read this letter. Everybody get involved. We do this as a community, as a family. This is not a one-man show, you know, and it's wonderful. We had our meeting, and 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 came together on it, right? So we're doing this together. We're doing this together. So come out tomorrow. You see something, fix it. It's not a thing where you come and you are trying to complain about something. You see something wrong, remember, we're doing it together. Fix it, organize it, work with it and make it happen. We don't want any incidents out there. We work together. All right, we work together. And this is, do not listen to the lies. Do not listen to the lies. I tell you, this is being put together just by citizens. We had our meeting the other night. There was nobody at that meeting from any political party. Do not listen to them. It's a lie. They know why they're doing that. They know if they label us with a political party, what's going to happen. Then, you know what? People will lose confidence and they weaken the authenticity of what we're doing. We open the march up to everybody. We have an open mic. Anybody can take the mic and speak. Are you Barbadian? Are you a tourist? We had something at tourists. There were so many tourists who came up and spoke on the mic. Yes. So don't listen to the narrative. They know what they're trying to do. They know what they're trying to do, but it's not going to work. Not this time. Okay. All right. I think Dave has the ad there. I will go right ahead and play the ad, Dave. Thank you.
Come and take a jam with me, but just not for sale. My people not for sale. No, enjoy the beach and sun all day, but just not for sale. This place not for sale.
Calling all Barbadians to stand up and show your love for Barbados and call for the preservation of our heritage and land. This Saturday, April 5th, 10 a.m., let us march together from Liquidation Center to JEMMOTTS Lane. Join in this public demonstration of patriotism and celebration of national pride.
Yes, this place not for sale. And I think anybody heard of all of these stabbings and all that we have heard and seen that happen over just today. Just today. Yesterday was another day when, what is going on? What's happening to this beautiful country? Are they going to take it seriously now that it happened almost in front of Lime Grove? That someone was killed and in the streets almost in front of Lime Grove? Right there in the tourist district, all the way down St. James. It's not Little Shawnaton in up there in Silver Hill, in the ghetto, in the garrison areas. It's right there in a whole town where they plan to put the how many stories, 9-story hotel. It's right there where the tourists were passing and they saw it. Are we now going to hear from the Attorney General speaking much more than about tint? Speaking more, something else other than tint? Are we going to hear from him now? A 13-year-old boy lost his life, and we never even heard from the AG. We just heard that he's promised that he is going to give, the tint is going to come after Easter. That's what he has to offer. And the question is, how did tint cause the stabbing today? How did tint cause the stabbing? I want to ask the AG. I want to talk to the AG tonight. I want to talk to the Attorney General tonight. Attorney General, explain to me the last couple of deaths and murders actually, what even take Jonathan, the 13-year-old child? Where did tint come into all of that? And the Prime Minister has already told us the reason that tint, they have gone ahead and changed the laws, made the legislation so that tint, right, so that they can begin to put another tax on us is to get money. They are not concerned about the lives that are being lost in this country. They are not concerned about Barbadians' lives being lost. I tell you not. This is it. The Prime Minister told us. She sat in the press conference with him sitting there, not saying a word. Big smile, I think, probably was on his face. I don't know if Dave have the guy smiley picture for me, and I have another picture as well, smiling all the way. Is that all you have to say? Is that all you have to say? That the tint legislation is going to come into effect after Easter? Is that all? That's amazing. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit tonight and remind us. I want to remind us tonight about something, guys. I want to remind us about Mrs. Ram tonight. I want to talk to you about that lady. And a lot of you, you hear Miss Ram and you shut off. You don't want to hear anything because of what was said about her or what you think she's done, etc. And I want to say, and I'm hoping people from the government that they're listening. We have an attorney general who has nothing to say about crime. We're seeing our young people being killed daily, nothing to say about it. But when it comes on to this compulsory acquisition, he's right up in the middle of it. So you're all about tint, again, money for the government, the compulsory acquisition of people's land, that they earn their money and buy their land, their prime property. They bought the land because they wanted the land at that particular location. Mrs. Ram bought her land because it was in town and she wanted to be selling as a merchant close to the people. But you look, you and your Prime Minister and all of you in this government decide that you're going to unfair Mrs. Ram and take her land from her. How is that different? How what you have done is different from what the guys do on the street. Stick it up. This is a robbery. How is it different from pulling out, stick up? This is a robbery. And I just want to read a couple articles as we're going to be starting from Liquidation Center tomorrow. And I want to read this article. I want you to listen to the principle of it. I understand you have your famous Miss Ram story that probably either it happened to you or you heard from somebody else. But let's deal with this particular situation here. And I know you know the story, but we're going to just bring it back to you, refresh your memory. This is November 27, 2019. I think there's an article before this, but it's okay. We're just going to read it. The former owners of the property Liquidation Center, which comprises 2 units, Furniture Limited and Tiny Tots Limited, remain deeply hurt by how it was acquired by government. And I want you to put yourself in the place of this family. One of the owners of Liquidation Center, businesswoman Asha Mrs. Ram Merchandani, last Monday exited the building for the final time. This brought an end to over a quarter of a century of operating the business at Lower Bay Street in the city. She did so under the watchful eye of law enforcement and personnel from the Ministry of Housing and Lands, who took possession of the property. They were standing over her as she leaves her property. She did not put her property on the market to be sold. I want you to think, those of you who have properties, and even if you don't, you have a piece of possession, you have something that you like. You bought a car, a nice car, or whatever it is that you bought, it's yours. This is my possession. And here comes somebody says, I want it. And I'm not going to pay you fair market value for it. I want it. In a statement from the Attorney General's office, see the kind of statement that the Attorney General likes to give. We could be dead in the streets, blood running in the streets. Smiley, guy Smiley, you don't hear from him. You want your legislation for tint? You're going to hear from him. Here it is, compulsory acquisition, taking people's lands from them. You hear from him. In a statement from the Attorney General's office last Sunday, it was stated the November 4, 2029 deadline to turn over possession of the property to the government had not been met. But the company wrote the government asking for an extension of occupation until January 2020. The government rejected it. That they had given them more than enough time to complete their relocation. It's not their land. Yes? Dave, can we see the other one, please? This is when they were demolishing it. And a lot of you were on Facebook and you were rejoicing. You were rejoicing when this building was taken from Miss Ram and when they demolished it. Because you thought, some of you said, oh, but that is not, that property is not, she could have, it could be used for something else. The people, it's her land. And Abe, come to the front of the class, Abe. Okay, come to the front of the class. That's where I'm going with this. Yeah. Now, look at them. Look at them feeling proud of themselves. They did this in COVID. Look at them. Look at them feeling. Look at them. You had the AG, the Prime Minister. Is that who is that? Is that Mark Maloney? Hold a minute. Let me see at the top there. Who they say in the picture? I want to see if that is Mark Maloney, really. They were on hand to see the building demolished. Yeah? I know that Mr. Ram is not the only person that this has happened to. I'm very aware, Jacqueline. However, we are going to start at Liquidation Center tomorrow, so I want to bring everybody up to date. But you are so correct. Yeah, and look at them feeling very proud of themselves, and in the hard hats in his hand, and they felt very proud of themselves that they broke down, that demolished the woman's place. Yeah, until I see Don there. Don, give me a thumbs up when he's ready. Right, when Don is ready, yeah, give me a thumbs up. Until the government decided to take up your land, the people's land at JEMMOTTS Lane, and give it to a private entity. The same thing that they did with the land for Miss Ram. Look at the police around her. And we rejoiced. Huh? Until they decided to take up your land at JEMMOTTS Lane. And now you see the precedents, what had been set, and we did nothing. We laughed about it. Look at her as though she's a criminal. It's her land. Let me bring Mr. Leacock in here. Good evening, Don.
Hi, Marcia. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I am doing great. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Just working hard as always, fighting the fight, trotting through Babylon.
Don, you're the coolest ever. Listen, I've been saying thank you to you on the show. Everybody knows that. For, as it were, coming to lift up my arm. I really appreciate that. And it's something that I will not forget. How you came on the scene, and you made sure that all of that second part was done really well.
Last week's walk, yeah, definitely good to have some of the people that I knew, and the youth especially performing. It was good to see so many youth performing positive messages as well. Lots of people like to claim, oh, all the youth sing is this dance hall thing, this murder, violence. But we saw about 10 different performances last week, Saturday, all completely positive messages. So love to, anytime I can help the youth showcase and lend my platform to that, I would love to do it.
Wonderful. And it was once, as I said, once I heard that the young people wanted to me, that was it. We, and I'm so glad that we had said no speeches, so we didn't have anybody coming to take the microphone, any political speeches, right? You were there. We didn't have any political speeches.
None at all. No, it was nothing to do with politics.
Nothing.
It was just remembrance, and just to raise awareness for the horrible situation.
Yeah. And on the road, you were there, you were giving up water, you were running back and forth, and you would have heard the prayers and the worship songs. Did you hear any political speech or anything on the road?
No, nothing. Were there people telling you that there was? I don't think anybody can say that.
Well, I heard, saw something going around to say such. That's a complete, that's a lie.
Yeah, man, don't worry. You can't listen to all the noise.
Not at all. So I just want to thank you so much for being there and the support that you've given. But I know you have been listening, and you heard me talking about Miss Ram and what happened to her in 2019 while we were in the pandemic. What would have happened to her. And, later on when we heard about Savvy. Now, I don't know about you, Don, but it's only this week that I understood how similar the situation surrounding Mr. Ram was to what happened with Savvy, with ALLAN KINCH. Were you aware that they were that similar?
Yeah, I don't know too much about the Miss Ram. I've been now getting educated on it. I was aware of the ALLAN KINCH situation the whole time. I know people who are proprietors here at Savvy on the Bay. Savvy on the Bay is a great facelift to that whole Nelson Street area. It's like the only positive thing, you know, coming out of it. It's somewhere that tourists frequent, locals frequent, everybody, all walks of life, rich, poor, black, white. And to see local entrepreneurs just trying to do any small businesses there, it was very disheartening to see the government try to close that. And it's only a couple years later now that we see why, because the government obviously would have wanted this land to give to AFREXIMBANK as well. It's just that there was so much public outcry and national pushback that they couldn't end up doing it. They wanted to build a car park there. And why would we needed a giant car park there? Nobody knew a couple years ago. But we know now, because we're going to have a conference center, a luxury hotel, a commercial investment bank. All of these things, they need at least 300-400 car spaces out there. And they wanted to transform Savvy in the Bay, a hub for Bajan entrepreneurship, into a measly car park just for that they were giving away, because they're giving away the land on the other side of the road for free. So I mean, it's an awful situation, Marcia.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they went and said, stick up. You know, and it says, this is a robbery. Stick up. You know, they stick you up. This is a robbery. because both owners, and I wanted to also look at it, Don. Mrs. Ram was a landowner just like ALLAN KINCH. She owned, and she was just down the road from ALLAN KINCH.
Yeah.
She bought her land. Mr. KINCH bought his land. And here comes the government. We want your land. And that's not the only thing, you know. That's not the only thing, is that they decided that, in fact, from my reading, even researching, and if somebody knows different, they can tell me. I know of a fact that Savvy was up with the price that they were offering to pay for the land was way below the market value.
Yeah, because remember, one of the most humorous headlines of all time in Bajan history, I think, to me personally, was that they wanted, because remember, he had started fixing up the big white building right there next to Savvy. Started doing rehab on that building, improving it. And then one of the headlines was essentially saying, oh, government want him to return the building to the dilapidated state so that they could pay him the market value for the dilapidated building and not the market value for the improved building and everything on it. So you want a private citizen of this country that bought the land fair and square, spent his hard-earned money, hundreds of thousands of dollars improving this building. Do you want him to tear back down that building so that you, the government, can pay market price for a torn down building instead of for an improved building? It's just like the jokes write themselves. You don't even need to say anything more than that. It's sick, it's twisted, it's very wicked.
And you know, according to the Land Acquisition Act, which I'm hoping I'll be able to read a little portion of it tonight, they are supposed to get they need to be compensated for the land. And one would think that, reasonably think that it means it's fair market value for the land, right? But they wanted to give them whatever they wanted to give them for these two individuals, Mrs. Ram. And what I want to stress to everybody that's listening, don't hold Mr. KINCH up here and Mrs. Ram down here. It's the same situation. They both own their lands. They both had businesses on their land. It doesn't matter if you like Mrs. Ram business or you like Mr. KINCH. They were both business people.
They're both Bajan business people. We're all Bajan business people at the end of the day.
There you go. And they decided that is what they're going to do. Now, the big difference between Mr. KINCH and Miss Ram was the public outcry. That's the only reason that they left Savvy alone, Don. You realize that?
Because you see, Savvy had a lot of Savvy had a very powerful influencer, owns one of the shops there, and just lots of more young people in general. It's a really great area. Tourists go there, locals go there. As I said, it's not an area designated for rich or poor, for black or white, for young or old. It's everybody. It's a family atmosphere during the day. It's a great nightlife during the night because that bar is open 24/7. So it was the perfect spot for all locals, right there in the middle of town. There wasn't really a wholesome spot that you could be in all hours of the day in town. So that was the first. It was the first of its kind, and for government to try to snatch that business from Mr. Kinch simply to put a car park to facilitate this side deal with the AFREXIMBANK that they knew they were doing back then, but they couldn't share with the public. Because I remember everybody saying, like, what on earth would you need a car park here for, Marcia? Like, there's not. This is on the very outskirts of town. There's already parking in town for everybody that lives and works there. Like, what's the need for this gigantic car park? And it's only now, a couple of years later, that government were forced to think about how rushed that whole thing was. Parliament talked about this app for Zim land being invested to them for the very first time maybe 2 weeks ago, and they've already broken ground. When in the history of Barbados has it all happened so fast? The public learned about it maybe 3 weeks ago, and they've already broken ground on it. Oh, like this is the quickest in history that these things are happening. It just seems like they're trying to rush through a lot of deals to me. As I've said before on the show, I really think that there's going to be elections very soon within the next couple of months, and it just so it looks like if they're trying to rush through as many deals as possible before this next election.
Yeah, and when you think, I mean, according to the Land Acquisition Act, it's really supposed to be okay, for public what they call public good. Then I'm paraphrasing, right? Now, the thing though is that it's not in these two cases. Yes, it's a tourism. They're saying it's a tourism, but it's not something that the government is doing. These are private entities. So everybody knows that the Miss Ram's land was taken from her so that Mark Maloney could build the Hyatt, right? So the Hyatt is being built there. Yes, it's tourism, which everybody should be benefiting from it. But when I researched who is going to own the Hyatt, right? And it is clearly saying that everything that I see said that the Hyatt is being developed by Vision Develop Inc., which is a Barbadian company led by Mark Maloney, and upon completion, the resort will be managed by Hyatt Hotels Corporation under the Hyatt Ziva brand. This arrangement indicates that while Hyatt will operate the hotel, the ownership will remain with the local developer. So, because I said to myself, I wonder, Don, I said, I wonder if it is that the government will, be part owners or something. No, it's entirely Mr. Maloney who would be the owner of Hyatt. And we see in the case of AFREXIMBANK that it's their land now. So poor Mr. Kinch would have had to give up everything, and they knocked down his place and turn it into a car park for them.
Yeah, a car park on the water too. That's the craziest part. They probably thought it would be too bad to forcibly acquire Kinch's land, like they did to Miss Ram. It would have been too much public outcry. Because of the same Savvy on the Bay. Savvy on the Bay was the biggest blessing there. It's just a collection of food trucks, very low startup costs, but it has so many different Bajan entrepreneurs there, so much culture that it's now permanent. You can't just move it just like that.
Yeah. But I mean, the same kind of thing is happening in Oistins. I mean, you live in that community. Is that so, or close by?
Yeah, very close to Oistins. So I mean, they're trying to sell everything from basically from Miami Beach straight through to the bus terminal. So I believe that's about 6 acres or so, and they want another gigantic resort to come through, similar to how they did in Whole Town, Gibbs Gully, all the places that we've been already. The Minister of Culture, Chantel Monroe Knight, is trying to run for Christchurch South out here. She was completely silent during the Whole Town acquisition. She'll obviously be completely silent against the Oistins acquisition as well, because at the end of the day, she's not elected by anyone. The only reason she's in parliament is because She's another one of Mia's lap dogs. Everybody's saying, yes, Mia Molly. Yes, Mia Molly. Yes, Mia Molly. I'll do this for you, Mia Molly. That's the only reason any of these people still have a pick. Dr. Crystal Haynes, as we've discussed on this show many times already, spoke her opinion one time and she's gone. Chantel Monroe Knight doesn't want that to happen. So even though she's charged and paid by the people of Barbados to preserve culture, to preserve heritage, she couldn't care less. She's just doing what's expedient for her and what she thinks is going to earn her Mia Motley's favor so that she can go on and get a parliamentary seat. That's not the kind of representation that we in the South Side need here at all.
And I actually, Dave checks his WhatsApp. I just sent him the document from that's on the Barbados Tourism Investment.com so that people can see, because sometimes we say these things, Don, and people they think we're making it up.
No, but the government is promoting this. The government is this is a government of Barbados website actively promoting, please buy oysters. Look, you can scroll down and see all the details. Exactly as I said, 6.6 acres, the police station, the polyclinic, the post office, the library, community development center, welfare office, licensing authority, magistrates court, bus terminal. Tell me where they can relocate all these things to Marcia. Oysters isn't that big. There's there's nowhere else for them to put any of the above mentioned things.
But let me ask you, you're a young person, because sometimes people, the Prime Minister says that people are just against who hate, she used the word hate investment. In fact, she said a march like what we're doing tomorrow, it's a hate of investments. I want to ask people in your age group, millennials, who you are young, and this is you. When we're gone, this is gonna be your country. What's the general feel you're getting from people around your age group?
It's mixed, to be honest. At the same time, everybody can acknowledge that there will be quote unquote jobs created in this construction phase. Majority of those Bajans are just going to be getting minimum wage construction jobs. And then there are going to be quote unquote jobs created in the resort stage, where again, Bajans will be getting minimum wage housekeeping jobs, beach attendant jobs. So, I mean, are these jobs really quality jobs? Are these jobs that people like? We tout all this free education, but do you need free education to be a maid? Do you need free education to be a beach boy stacking chairs? You don't. So at the same time, we're pushing all this free education. Mia Motley's government boasts of making education free again. But what's the point if all the jobs that you're bringing are these low quality jobs? They're going to have tombstone ads in the paper for the CEO of this luxury resort, for the CFO, for all of the various management positions. No Bajan is going to have the CV required for that. They're going to bring in foreigners to do all these jobs. They're going to bring the foreigners are going to have tax-free exemptions, and all of the money, all of the profit is coming out of the country. So while we as young people know and acknowledge that tourism is the real breadwinner in Barbados, we are creating hotels at mass. It's 6 hotels being built as we speak right now, with further the AFREXIMBANK and the Hyatt and everything about to get started. We already have enough hotels. We don't need to be building even more hotels. There's no way all of these hotels can be at capacity all the time. If you scroll through social media, the general comments from tourists is that Barbados is one of the most expensive places I've ever been. That's only going to continue to rise with the Trump tariffs and everything that's going on in the world. So Barbados is not really a destination that at the end of the day can compete with the tourism titans like Dominican Republic, Colombia, Mexico, who offer the same kind of mass tourism vibe that Barbados is seemingly aiming towards, but they're only a third of the price, only a quarter of the price. So when you build all of these resorts, Senator John Rogers, the Reverend, he had said he went to one of the islands in Bahamas. It was just a little resort island, probably smaller than the parish of St. Philip. And it was just resorts. It was just a beach and resorts. Beautiful resorts. 6-7-story buildings on all of the islands, but all of them were completely desolate. The island had its peak, and now it's just fallen off because there's tourism everywhere in Marcia. If tourists come to Barbados, they realize it's extremely expensive. They're not going to come back every year for the next 30 years like they used to. All of these tourism stories about, oh, we're British, we came to Barbados Barbados once in the 70s. We loved it so much. We've come back every year for 70 years. This is the young people's time. This is the millennials. This is the Gen Z time. We have Instagram. We have social media. We can see the whole world. People are going to come somewhere once unless they absolutely love it, which is not technically the case anymore with Barbados because it's so expensive. They're not really going to come back. And then, you have this big, gigantic hotel here. And for what? In 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, it's going to be relatively empty. So I think we need to be extremely cautious on building at the rate that we are. The amount of urban sprawl here in this island is way too much. Like, you're developing all of these areas, and then you're losing the culture. You're losing the heritage. And a lot of the tourists come here to Barbados not to see that same urban sprawl that they see in America and the UK and Canada. They come here for the more openness, the green spaces, the windows to the sea. That's the most important thing, the windows to the sea. All of those are going to be gone, Marcia. And by the time it's my generation's time to take control, to be able to develop things, there's not going to be any land left in Barbados to develop. Mia Motley seems to be on a crash course to sell everything she possibly can before she calls elections. She wants to run the world, Marcia. She wants to be the head of the United Nations, the United Nations Secretary General. Elections for that is coming up in 2026. And she would need to have a 1-year cooling off period. You're not allowed to be in elective politics a year prior to becoming UN Secretary General. So that means if their election is 2026, she would need to hold elections here in Barbados this year, win back the government, and then step down, all in this 2025. So that's why I think strongly that elections are going to be called very, very soon in the next couple of months, because she needs to. She needs to win back the government so that her people can stay in power for another term, but she's going to step down after that. So she's just rushing. She knows she doesn't have that much time left, so she's trying to just sell off as many things as she possibly can before her time is done.
Boy, I mean, you have to me a fantastic analysis that is actually making sense.
I mean, they always ask the same 3 old retired political scientists in the newspaper their opinion. They could be asking me.
But Don, I love to hear from your age group. But every time we talk, I laugh. Right? You see me laughing because it is so fresh, and you shoot straight. You guys, I remember talking to my son, one of my sons about the cybercrime bill, and he just stopped me halfway and said, "Mom, don't you understand that this government will never leave power?" That's the problem. They will never leave power, But Don, I want to know though, are you guys really concerned about windows to the sea? Or are you just using it as a talking point? You guys, the millennials really concerned about that?
I would say so. It's not uncommon that everybody in my age group still goes to the beach. Everybody still enjoys it because the windows to the sea are access to the sea. So at the same time, if the windows to the sea are disappearing, it means that access to the sea are disappearing. You're seeing so many videos out of Jamaica right now. Less than 5% of their coastline is accessible to the public. Only about 5% of their entire coastline is public beach access. So the law here in Barbados is still that 100% of the sand belongs to us, the people. But if you see all of the windows to the sea vanish, the next thing you're going to see is all the access to the sea vanish. So it's a domino effect that we don't want to really start. We want to keep all of those windows open. You want to be able to just, when you're passing by on the road, yes, see the beach. This is our beaches. The only thing that Barbados has that keeps tourists coming are those beaches. So it's not even about us local millennials seeing the sea, Marcia. It's about everybody. It's about the same tourists that they're trying to attract here. If you drive along our coastline and all you see are 9-story buildings, but that's not inviting, that's not enticing, the tourists aren't even going to see if there's a good beach there. Building all these hotels, it messes up the ecology of the place. A lot of the sand is lost. The entire south coast, since they've built the boardwalk, has never been the same. Certain beaches have gone, certain beaches have come, but you really are manipulating the tides, the water, the shores, everything. Nesting patterns for different wildlife and animals, you're destroying all of that for what? Just a little bit of profit, just so that you could say you created another couple of hundred minimum wage jobs. Bajans are far better than that. You keep boasting about all this free education so that you could be beach boys and maids at these hotels. That's just colonial mindset.
Yeah, it's really I think the people are loving the straight talk in the chat. And one video, oh Lord, I saw, I don't know if I sent that to you, Don. It's these two young millennials from Barbados, and they were ranking the prime ministers. Have you ever seen that video?
Ranking? No, I haven't seen that.
No, if you see that, well, when I hear you all talk, it makes me laugh. That's the truth. Because you guys, you just say it very respectfully, but you say what you have to say. Because you don't, you don't have on any glasses. You haven't drank any Kool-Aid, and you just say it, just like kids.
But man, clear, concise messaging.
Yes. Oh Lordy, y'all are funny. But listen, Don, I was here thinking. I saw something you sent to me that the person who was killed in a pool of blood. He was in a white shirt in a pool of blood.
That was today. Yeah, just this evening.
Just this evening, and it seemed like it was close to the Lime Grove Center.
It was right in front of the Civic Center, Marcia, as if God himself was sending the government a warning. It couldn't be any closer to the Civic Center. Right there opposite Lime Grove. So you know that I don't want to ruffle any feathers. You know that the more upper class people in society are gonna have a really big problem with this one. Because this was on the road next to Lime Grove.
We might
on the road next to Lime Grove.
Listen, we might not see the AG might come out because now all the big ups and they all the a certain set of people. Right, that's a stone's throw from Lime Grove,
Exactly. The business owners from inside Lime Grove, I've seen posting their own videos about it. Because it was right there on the main road, literally right in front of Lime Grove.
We're going to solve some crime. Some crime's going to be solved in this country now.
So crime can be solved. If something happened in the Pine, don't mind. Silver Sands, don't mind. But Lime Grove, oh no, you can definitely see the AG talk about something besides tint for the first time in months.
Yes, something is, something, and as the theory says, condolences to the family of the fallen, those who are left behind. Because
it's a very interesting video. I wish, you probably could play it here right now. It's only about 50 seconds, but if you don't want to, it's okay.
Yeah,
but it's like there's a case for self-defense. There's a case not for it. It's quite an interesting case. I don't really know. You would need more context to see who started the altercation to begin with. But yeah, it was very, very involved. It went on for multiple minutes. Neither party was really trying to end it. Everybody was trying to get the last blow. So it's tough, man.
Yes. Somebody here saying that they hope you know that your father is somewhere smiling at the confident young man you are here on the show tonight.
Man, I just trying to be half as confident as he was, so that's all. Yeah, man.
Yeah. But no, I think we will hear something now. They'll be going to rush and do something. Because it's not just a little in the ghetto areas or the garrison areas.
This is literally the richest part of Barbados, literally, and you have a murder right there in the middle of the street.
In the middle of the street. And today I heard
where they're trying to sell this land to this resort. The ICBL and their Canadian owners aren't gonna be happy with that.
It was right in. Can you imagine? Right there in front of the Civic Center. It's like a sign. So, Don, what would you say to people about the march tomorrow? What before you go? I know you told me I got to come on early. I got to ship over there, and I see Jehan is ready to come in. But talk to me. What do you want to say, Don? If you could just share your heart with Barbadians about this march tomorrow, what would you say to them?
I would say it's not about tomorrow's march. Tomorrow's march is just a small battle in the ongoing war that we have. This is not our first march. This is not going to be our last. And whether you are for this specific site or not, you should still come out and show your support to this cause, because no matter where you are in Barbados, you could be on the East Coast, you could be on the South Coast, you could be on the West Coast in Whole Town, now the whole of Nelson Street, JEMMOTTS Lane. It's happening everywhere around the island. So whether you're for the AFREXIMBANK, whether you want to claim that, oh, all of these high quality jobs are coming in, whether you're for all of that or not, we still need to hold the government accountable. There's been so little transparency on what all of these concessions that they've given to the bank. There's been a lot of rumor that the bank officials are going to have the same diplomatic immunity, like how, for example, the UN and other places would have. Like, why on earth would that be necessary? Because that would mean that these people can't even get charged for crimes in Barbados. So that is all very concerning developments. I think there needs to be a lot of transparency around this whole AFREXIM deal. They claim that they're going to invest 300 and something million into Barbados. Yeah, but a lot of that is going into a luxury hotel, which they're going to own and operate and make profit from, and send those profits back to Africa and back to the Middle East and wherever the other investors in this bank are. So at the end of the day, there needs to be a lot more transparency around all of these deals. All of these deals are being rushed, Marcia. It's just deal after deal after deal. So the year just started, and they've sold off dozens of acres of prime real estate here in Barbados, and the year's just started, Marcia.
Yeah.
But as I said, that is because I think these are Mia Mottley's last couple months as prime minister. She wants to go and run the world, so she needs to start running Barbados for a year before she can do that. She's going to place her most loyal puppet as prime minister in her absence. And yeah, she needs to rush all of these deals through, because she knows full well that AFREXIMBANK and all these other international agencies aren't going to take any of her puppets seriously. It has to be her herself. So she needs to be the prime minister while all these deals are done. And then after that, they would have already signed 20-year VAT holidays, 30-year VAT holidays, similar things to what they do with other places. And everybody can be eating good on their side of the fence, so they're not really gonna mind how it affects Bajans. So yes, in order to stop all of this, no matter where you are in the country, please come out and march tomorrow, just like we did 2 weeks ago in Whole Town, just like we did 3 weeks ago in Gibbs Gully, just like we've been doing for years. Marcia has been doing these marches for years. When Mia was in opposition, she did marches. Nobody here in this conversation tonight is even part of a political party, so it's not even to be doing this just for power or anything. We're just doing this for the genuine, concerned citizens of Barbados. So come out and support us. Come out and support Marcia. She puts her blood, sweat, and tears into this, and she deserves all the support she can get.
Well, I whenever people say, that I deserve the support, I feel like we're doing this thing together, Don. It's like what happened last week with you and I, and Dave and everybody just came, and we were all just doing something for Barbados, and that's how I want people to see it, because that's truly what it is. When I'm there tomorrow, everybody just clock in, man, and they're doing what they have to do. And we do it for Barbados because we love Barbados. Thank you so much, Don, for joining us. And I'm having fun tonight. Jehan is going to be joining us now. Thank you so much. God bless.
No, thank you, Marcia. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Love and blessing.
Yes. Bye-bye. Yes. Jehan, how are you? Good night, Jehan. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi. Good night. Good night to everybody.
Yes. It's good to see you. Whenever you come on, there's something that, you always have something interesting to bring to us. But I see Dave has the ad on the screen, and Dave, can you just go ahead and play?
Come and take a jam with me. The pages not for sale. My people not for sale. No, I try the beach and sun all day. The pages not for sale. This place not for sale.
Calling all Barbadians to stand up and show your love for Barbados and call for the preservation of our heritage and land. This Saturday, April 5th, 10 a.m. Let us march together from Liquidation Center to JEMMOTTS Lane. Join in this public demonstration of patriotism and celebration of national pride.
Wow, I think I heard a familiar voice there, Jehan, in that ad.
Yeah, that young gentleman has a beautiful voice.
I tell you, I believe so too. I believe so too. And this is why I say to everybody, Jehan, this is not a one-man show. Everybody, because you know we don't have no money, so everybody they throw in their little piece, you know, and to make it happen. And that's what I love about this. This is really done in true Bajan spirit. And thanks to that young man who voiced the ad, whoever that young man is, thanks to him.
Yeah, people be giving praise.
Yes. So now tell me, what is happening up there in Brighton? Give us an update on Brighton.
Okay, so I'll give you the recap and then I'll give you the latest update. So the recap is that they showed up here in December 3rd. They cut down trees that were protected by the environmental laws. Then they proceeded to demolish on the 29th of December. They demolished the buildings without any prior notice to the neighborhood. No notice that there would be construction on that site. Covered over sea turtle nest that was thriving. Then later in January, they proceeded to dig up our driveway, which is public access to the beach. And they put down stone and marl, making it very difficult for pedestrians to pass, especially older folks. Then they went and they installed a pipe on the beach side underneath the sand, which was basically them signaling the intent to pump the water from the foundation into the sand. Now that water that is in the foundation, I'm sure everybody here would have heard it, but I'll repeat it, is contaminated with sewage because they did not remove the suck wells from the premises. They just put the excavator right through it. And then later, I think that was in February, they tried to pump it onto the beach. They came very sneakily and they got reported to the Environmental Protection Department, and construction has more or less halted since then. What they've been doing now is coming little bit by little bit and just adding things to the construction site. They came down here with these massive containers. We're operating cranes above the houses and all kinds of crazy stuff. So what we have done is we have put down some poles which basically are marking off our boundary line, which is where our guard wall should actually be. So yes. Why that's important is because to the public, to all beachgoers, all the people who come down here morning and evening to walk on this beach and to bathe on this beach, these people are trying to restrict your access because it's floating around on the street that they are going to restrict access to the beach. And so outside of where those poles are is actually a footpath, and it is marked out, you know, town planning or whatever they're called now, planning and development. They have that as is I think it's about 3 to 4 feet of a footpath that you're supposed to be able to walk on. So they have said that they're going to erect a guard hut and they're going to restrict access to the beach, and that is a no-no. How can they tell the public and the residents of Black Rock and whatnot that they cannot go to the beach? So this neighborhood is full of tourists who all come for the beach, right? You see them walking up and down the beach all day. People who come off cruise ships are walking up and down this footpath, right? How can they be allowed to do that? So we have to take a stand and tell them, no, you can't do that because that's public, right? And today they showed up with, we made it very difficult by putting those poles down. So they showed up with smaller equipment today to excavate. And I've noticed that they're digging another trench there. Now, construction cannot continue unless they get permission to pump that water off. Now, the correct way to remove what is typically called water displacement on a construction site, the correct way to do that is to use a tanker, and you siphon it off little by little. But this man seems like he is not mentally stable or something, because he wants to go ahead and do things as quickly as possible without the right permissions to do it. Notice he still has not erected any screens or anything to protect us from the dust. And, just doesn't seem to care about public safety. He doesn't care about rules or regulations or doing anything the right way. And the question that we all need to be asking is, why is he allowed to do those things? Because, how come everybody else has to do it when it affects, when construction sites affect the surrounding areas, residents or business places and stuff like that? They have to adhere to the laws that were set out by the building code, etc. All those standards, right? So we're not certain what he's going to do with these trenches, but it looks very suspicious because it is connected to the area where the foundation has been dug, and you have all of that contaminated water. So we don't know if they're planning to put it out on the road or what. But my question to the authorities at large would be, is there a special permit? Because he's walking around telling people that he's going to get special permits to do whatever he wants. So is there really a special permit that will allow this man to contaminate the environment? Because that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But
it's interesting. If I could ask, I mean, I know you said that you've written to the environmental control. What is it called? Environmental EPA?
The Environmental Protection Department.
EPD, right. EPD.
Right.
And have you heard from them?
They have not said a single word. The last word I heard is that they were carrying out an investigation, but no one can reach them. For example, several journalists have been on site to visit, but And
let's remind the audience where you're talking about. You're talking about Brighton. And what's that beach? Pardon my ignorance. That beach has a particular name.
Brighton Beach. That's what it's called.
Brighton Beach. Okay, just Brighton Beach. So we're talking. Those of you who are just watching, we're talking about Brighton Beach, where there's building going on and there. Okay. So just so that everybody understands where what we're talking about. So you have given us basically an update on what is happening there at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have no idea what is going to happen now, but we know that things have been slowed down, and you can't really do anything without removing that water. So the main questions that we need to focus on are, how is it possible? Who will give permission to contaminate the environment? That doesn't make any sense. And why have the things that have been done already, like destroying the sea turtle nests, etc., why has that been allowed when sea turtles around the world are going extinct? There's a national initiative to protect the sea turtles, and then here you go with things like this. So we need to question those things, and we need to question the issue of taking away what belongs to the public, the access to the beach. So many elderly people depend on that morning dip, even just to go down to get a bottle of water from the sea to soothe their arthritis or whatever the case is, right? So, I mean, Sunday is a big beach day. You come down here on Sunday and the beach is full of people, and it's mostly people from Black Rock, but I do not. People come from as far as St. Philip just to enjoy this beach, right? And when you go down the other end by Rascals, which is Brandon's, then you can hardly get a park because it's so full of people. So what about everybody else that's trying to come down to the beach through this gap here? There's limited space.
I'm wondering if your activism is what is holding it up, because you have done a whole lot of work. A lot of people, I mean, some don't even realize the amount of work you have done. And I'm wondering if that's what's holding it up, because, you have talked to us about the smell of the water that they're trying to get pumped into the sand. that the water smells really funny.
Yeah, it has done a lot of damage to the environment. When they had pumped the water into the sand, it actually built up so much pressure that it exploded onto the sand and created sinkholes. Some lady was walking by and fell into one of these sinkholes. But why that was troubling, especially on that day, is because you could see the sediment. The color of the water was, I guess you could see the gray, dark, ugly-looking scum and stuff had settled on the sand when it burst through. And the flies were landing on it. Now, what do flies like to land on? Food or something else? And so they were displaying that particular behavior that they do when they find something nice and sticky. And it was alarming. It was very alarming. I mean, I had to tell a couple with 2 babies that set up there just last Sunday, what happened, because they were letting the children play in the sand, and that's just wrong. Right? If you see how they pick up the children upside down and everything and run with them. They were so disgusted.
Yeah, it smells. I mean, it's amazing. And the question you're asking of what kind of permit will they ever get, and from whom, that will allow them to do that kind of damage to the environment?
Yeah, and all of these are questions that people need to continuously ask, because it is unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable, the things that are being done. If you want to build something, build it according to the regulations. It is that simple.
Yes. And the thing about it, stay here, we're looking at this is you? This is by you?
Yeah, that is I'm not sure what they were doing with that red hose. You probably need to bring up a different picture that shows you the what is on screen there now is gone. They've moved that red hose. I've sent you other pictures where you could actually see the pipe on the beach and stuff like that.
Wow. But I mean, when you think of the fact that, I think anybody outside of Barbados that is into the environment and really are into protecting the environment would never believe that our prime minister would be that she could ever be the prime minister of any country. With her track record and her speeches or international speeches, nobody would ever believe that this is a country that she governs with so many environmental issues.
I mean, I think that in itself is a major issue for discussion, because there's no way that anybody in a position of leadership could just not know that these things are happening. That is just another major questioning point, to keep it light, because you gotta be careful what you say, but
yeah,
it shines a light on a lot of issues that we're having, because again, we're trying to contact the environmental people for a statement. Nobody can find them, right? And these are all things that we should know about, because we have to use the public beach. If something is going on, tell us.
Right.
For example, in the instance of the construction site, no environmental impact assessment was shown to anyone. We don't have any proof that it exists, right? So that these are all things that we have to question. And it seems as though, since you can't say certain things in the media, that we only have these options. We only have the marches, and we only have like your show that we can ask these questions and continue to put pressure on people to give us some sort of response. Right?
But in addition to all of this, I mean, we hear about about these jobs. So, for example, we're told that the AFREXIMBANK, that they are going to generate over 1,000 jobs. And Don was just speaking about the type of jobs that he believes that we're going to get. But in your case, they're on the job site. Is it my understanding? Am I right in my understanding that there are more non-nationals on that site working on
Yeah,
that site?
there are more non-nationals from the guys that were simply removing galvanized sheets from the old buildings before they demolished it. A Jamaican guy throwing the nails into the driveway, could go in somebody's tires, and you telling him that he's doing it, and you have somebody talking back to you in a strong Jamaican accent, and you, I mean, so strong that you could hardly understand anything he was saying. And then you had the people who were doing the major building on the other high rises that were built in this neighborhood. Chinese workers, you see them going down there, a long train of them every day, morning and lunchtime and evening. So even the person, one of the people doing the, apparently working as the supervisor, Spanish, so what's going on? You hear even like the little people that, I guess they must be Guyanese or something like that, just coming to do small jobs and stuff in preparation for this construction site. I mean, why can't a Bajan do that? Right?
Wow. I wonder if, are we listening, folks? Are we listening? And this is why we do this show, because we want you to be able to ask your MP these questions. Write your MPs. I know some of you might think it's a waste of time, but still do it. Write to the newspaper, ask them who are the people that they're going to employ in these 1,000 jobs. Because even by me here in Sam Lords, what was that? At Sam Lords, what I realized, it's really Spanish and Indian and Chinese. No Bajans up here. So what are these jobs for, really?
Yeah, and I mean, even Sunny was saying so about Chinese workers out behind their setting up huts and all kinds of crazy stuff. That I mean, it seems, I don't even know if there's words for it that don't contain expletives, Marcia, because it is insane to me that the narrative of how many jobs everything is going to create is consistently put out there, and then when you look around, I mean, what are we supposed to do with our own eyes? We are not seeing Bajans. If you see Bajans, is one or two, and like in the instance over here, the only Bajans that I have seen were much older gentlemen that were doing very small jobs, just basic carpentry and stuff like that, and you don't see them anymore. The main guys that I see around here are speaking with Guyanese and Jamaican accents.
Guyanese, Jamaican, Chinese, Spanish, and the thing is that according to the what do you call it, the BCA, they do a skills assessment before you have to present all of your documents. The CARICOM skills program that exists. I can't remember the exact terminology for the program, but I was told that the Prime Minister, and we're actually doing some research on it and we'll make a presentation on it, but I just say this now, that they reduce the time for verifying those certificates. And I know that if you're going to be taking people from Jamaica and they know you're not going to verify the certificates, let me tell you, they're going to make them. You understand? And that kind of, those little jobs that they're doing, it doesn't require any skill. The kind of jobs that you're explaining, you're describing, they don't require any skill. So even with that, they have to be careful, because you might just pick up the wrong kind of Jamaican to bring in Barbados, and you might just be sorry. I'm just putting that out there.
Right, it could be the wrong kind of any nationality, to be honest with you. I don't know where else to take that discussion. Is just alarming how we keep seeing all of these different people from different nationalities, and you still see Spanish people in this neighborhood with certain branding and stuff. We can't say that, but certain branding on the trucks and logos on their uniforms and stuff.
The
And
local construction company
Mhm.
with branding, they're wearing they're wearing it on their shirts, and they're
Mhm.
wearing it and it's on the trucks that they're driving. And so
Mhm.
those are the people that they're giving the jobs to. I heard, Jehanna, I was over by Nelson Street and I was speaking to some of the guys, and they were so angry. They were just so angry about the fire station being removed. They were angry that when Wellington Street fire occurred, they even came on the show and they said when the fire truck came, there was no water. The fire truck came without any water, you know, and they were just angry that they feel that you know, they're trying to do something to remove them. And they you know, one of the guys, he got so mad, and he said, you know, this is why you see you get a lot of stealing and all kinds of things, because he said if they ever think that they are going to use them to build those hotels, that's what those guys on the block said, you know. They said if they ever think that they're going to use them and pay them little or nothing, that they're not, they would rather steal everything off that site. That's what the guy said. They would rather steal it than to work for minimum wage.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, as we know, they're being paid the absolute minimum wage to do anything too. It also makes you question what are these foreign workers being paid? Are they being paid less? What is the incentive to leave where you come from and work for minimum wage if that's the case? There's a lot of questions that you could ask just trying to figure this out. It's saying you're crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. I saw where there were some of the workers who were complaining and saying that they're not going to go back on the job site because of the working conditions.
Yeah, I've even heard workers over here complaining. Beijing workers, the handful that came to haul away the rocks and stuff when they were doing the excavation, were complaining about how much they were getting paid to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know where to take that, because if you're doing a job and you know that you're being short paid, why are you continuing to do the job? If you have a skill, because driving a truck, for example, is a serious skill. Not a lot of people can do that. So surely that is a job that is in demand. And when you start asking that question, you're going to uncover a lot of other social issues that perhaps might not be really too nice to discuss in a public forum, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So in light of all of this, Jehan, tomorrow we are marching. We're marching from Liquidation Center, and somebody was asking, where is the Liquidation Center? This is the one that was on. It was on Bay Street. So what you can do is to just, if you get to Massey, Old Massey, that is going to be demolished soon. I hope it's still there. You can use it as a landmark. You're going to be able to see the truck. All right. If you go anywhere also along there, you find the toy store, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Laurie Dash. All you have to do is use Laurie Dash as your landmark.
Laurie Dash. We know Laurie Dash is still there. So if you come near to Laurie Dash, you'll be able to find it. Just you're going to see the truck, probably hear the music, and that's where we're going to be. So, you know, what do you say to people who are contemplating whether they should come or they, you know, or they shouldn't? Does this really concern me? What do you say to people?
Let me tell you a quick story in order to give that answer. So there was something called the Solomon Ash experiment, and it was conducted in the 1950s. It was a study done on group conformity.
Yeah.
The goal of that experiment was to understand how peer pressure can influence an individual person's judgment. In that experiment, the participants were placed inside of a group with shills, basically people who were just paid to give the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
And the experiment was that they were shown something very simple, one line, and then they had to compare that one line to 3 other lines, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were asked to choose which of those lines were the same length as the original line that they were shown. So the ones that were planted deliberately gave the wrong answers to see if the others in the group would conform to the incorrect choice.
Uh-huh.
And the results of that experiment were astonishing because despite the obvious answer of the other lines being short, 75% of the people conformed to the wrong answer at least one time, even when they knew that it was incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that story highlights the powerful influence of social pressure. If people are out there in the public doing the wrong thing, and there is fear about doing the right thing, what do you think 75% of the population is going to do? They're going to do the wrong thing because they feel pressured to do so. So that story is really just a powerful reminder of how much we are influenced by the people around us. It shows the strength of social conformity and how easy our individual judgments can be swayed even when we know better. Okay? So that is a wake-up call about the importance of trusting your own beliefs, your own morals, your own values, standing up for what is right, staying firm in the face of pressure. And I'm going to ask you a question to reflect on. Okay? How often do you go along with something just because everyone else is? So when you see that a group like the Concerned Citizens, that we are staging a march, ask yourself, these fellas seem like they're doing the right thing. Are we doing the wrong thing? Are we conforming to what everybody else is saying that we should do because we feel victimized and marginalized and just overall unsure? The fact that you feel unsure tells you something. So, as it has been said, this is not a hate march. It is not anti-investment. It is not anti-development. It is out of love for Barbados. It is out of concern for the things that are happening. It is a march for transparency and discussion, civil discussion. And those are things that we're not getting. It is unfair that people should just be walking around making decisions for others without consulting them. That's not democracy. That is not, leaders don't do that. Good leaders do not do that. So ask yourself which side of the line you fall on. And if you are on the side that you feel pressured to do the wrong thing, then now's your time to get straight and follow us on the road.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you and everybody there tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We ask people come a little earlier, and and so that we can start on time. We like to start on time. So don't just aim for 10. Try to come at least 9:45, and let's all come together and really make our voices be heard. I think that is what you're saying, Jehan.
Yes, and also it is not a political rally. It is not in favor of any one political party. All of that has been scrapped. We are just concerned people from all sides of the political spectrum that agree that something is going on that we need to talk about. That's all that's happening. It's very innocent.
Yeah, very. And I think, because I always say this, Barbadians, a lot of people, they grow up in a party household, that's labeled. And so they grow up being partisans. So it's very difficult for them to do something for their country that though it might be political, but it's not partisan, because we're talking about policies here. So it is a political decision that was made that we are fighting, but we are not partisan, and that's very difficult for people to understand. You were at our meeting and we didn't have anybody there from any party, right, Jaya?
Right. And the thing that people need to understand about themselves is that because many people are unaware. You have to realize that many people are unaware of their own biases. They've just picked up things that they've learned throughout their lives, They feel as though they need to be a part of a tribe because that is how the brain is wired. And so whatever you believe on any level is largely tied to your identity. But your identity is a Bajan first. Your identity is a human being first before all of that. So you cannot allow your political ideology to blind you to the reality of what is happening around you. Because if you live in an environment that becomes sick, it is not long before you become sick.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jehan. It's always a pleasure to hear you, and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow and the people from Brighton. God bless you, and thanks for all that you have done in making tomorrow a reality. We're not there yet, but we're speaking in faith. It's going to be a reality. We've worked hard, and it's going to happen, okay? Have a great night, Jehan. See you tomorrow.
No, enjoy the beach and sun all day, but nature's not for sale. This place not for sale.
Calling all Barbadians to stand up and show your love for Barbados and call for the preservation of our heritage and land. This Saturday, April 5th, 10 a.m., let us march together from Liquidation Center to JEMMOTTS Lane. Join in this public demonstration of patriotism and celebration of national pride.
This place not for sale.
Listen, listen, Michelle, I am enjoying that. I love that song. It is so sweet, eh? Good night, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Welcome,
Good night, good night. Good night, Marcia. Good night, Marcia Show. Good night, Barbados. And I always say good night, Barbados, but I mean the diaspora too. I mean everyone out there who's watching. Good night.
Listen, the diaspora punching tonight, and look who we have. Look how, listen, one of the favorites in the diaspora is right here, and I'm gonna bring him in the studio. Make sure you're ready, and you don't have any food on your mouth. You're coming in right now.
Hi, Marcia.
Good night. This is the dumpling from the diaspora section. Listen, we are
Hi,
going
Michelle.
Hi, good night. Good night,
to have a discussion with the diaspora, because this is why I tell them good night, Mr. Hines. Let me do that properly. Good night, Mr. Hines. Welcome to the Barstory Show.
Good night. Good night. No need for the formal greetings and all that good stuff. I'm just a guy from Barbados.
Listen, Michelle, every time I see him, I have to pinch myself, Listen, this man cuss me.
Well, that's when opinions, yeah, I get kind of heated sometimes.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But
Discourse, but
yeah,
it's all,
that's the thing about it. You know that, and that's what I love about this. That we're a family, and the three of us are here, and we might not believe the same thing on everything, but we have one thing in common, and it's our love for Barbados, right, Adrian?
absolutely. I tell people I grew up in a time in Barbados where you'd go in a rum shop and you know who's a B and who's a D and whatever else, and you order around drinks and you discuss your politics passionately. That if you were a foreigner and you come in there, you would think that we're ready to fight, but nah, that's just the way I grew up, arguing and debating, passionately. So that's and at the end of that, you go home and you see the guys the next day, and you go play soccer together or something.
We need to relax a bit. But I want to. I don't know if Dave has it ready. We have a dumpling from the diaspora that we recorded, and I just want to play him. And that's Mr. Edie. Do you know Walter Edie? Anybody?
Yes. Yeah.
This is his book called Sweet Dumplings and Saltfish Stew. Yeah, a very good book. I mean, Pages always writing about food, and I love too much food. Sweet dumplings and saltfish stew. And I'm going to ask Dave if he has Mr. Edie's his contribution towards this discussion about Windows of the Sea. If he could play that for me, thank you so much. Go right ahead, Dave.
Years ago, in the 80s and the 90s. On evenings, once you see no one more, get into my car with my camera, and I used to drive down the West Coast. Do you know why I used to drive down the West Coast?
No.
Because I noticed that when it is cold, whether it's cold in Canada or New York, for some reason, the sunsets during that part of the year were much beautiful from the ones of the whole year.
Okay.
Now, can I drive down the West Coast with my camera and capture the sunsets? Will I feel that I'm being robbed of something? That is a question that the people of Barbados have to answer. Are you comfortable with someone wetting your bed? Are you prepared to say, it's okay, the bed is wet, that's okay? Or are you going to say, no, I want to sleep in a dry bed? That is a question that the people of Barbados has to answer.
Wow. Very interesting there, Mr. Hines and Michelle. You guys are in the diaspora. You come home to Barbados for various reasons. You know, Michelle, when you come home, what is it? Do you go to the beach? Is the beach a big part of your coming home?
I come home, I live at the beach. I live there, okay? The point, you know, I spent so much time, you know, I was in Barbados during COVID. And, you know, we couldn't come outside and we had to do all that other stuff going on. You know, I was out there with what we call the noodle crew. There's a crew out there that wears noodles, you know, those plastic things. They call the noodle crew in Brown Beach. So, yeah, I go to the beach every morning, and then start my day.
Wow. How about you, Adrian? As he was talking about the sunset, I saw you pressed in and you were listening.
Yeah. Well, I know Mr. Edie. I've had a couple conversations with him. Is he living in Barbados now, or I know he's out of New York?
No, he was visiting here when that was a mic on the board.
Okay.
And so while he was in Barbados, I got the opportunity of interviewing him.
He never told me about his book. I read Austin Tom Clark's Pigtails and Bright Fruit. That one I read. And Austin Tom Clark is out. Well, I think he's died now. He's was out of Canada, Barbadian guy. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Just like Michelle, the beach is a big part of my vacation routine. I usually try to go twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And most days I make it only once because, you know, the activities during the day just get prolonged. And then before long it's dark. Can't get back to the hotel or wherever I'm staying to get to the beach. But definitely I go and I take a sea bath. I always tell my friends in America that, you know, you guys go to the beach to swim. I go and get a sea bath. And I think, what is a sea bath? And I say, oh, it's this simple. I just go and stay in the water, duck my head out of the water a couple of minutes or whatever. You know, I'll go for a short swim, not too far. But yes, sea baths are a big part of my activity when I visit Barbados.
Yes. Get your sea bath, you know. And we were showing just the other night some of what they've left, you know, in terms of access, what they're calling access. You know, some of it, it's. I mean, you have to turn sideways to get to the beach. And I showed one picture that had a huge tree in the middle of it and dark. I, as a female, would not be walking through there. And that picture was taken in the morning, you know. So you know, what they're calling access, even right there on the West Coast right now, it's just a little pathways for you to you know, to use to get to the beach. And we believe that is what is going to happen on all along Bay Street, Michelle, where you have, you know, the hotels that's going to be there for the AFREXIMBANK, and across in the next side you have the Hyatt, and then all the way down if you just hotels, you know, all the way down. So you really wonder what will be left for the people of Barbados. But I know, Michelle, you had something that you wanted to share about the AFREXIMBANK, and then I'm going to go to Adrian. I wanted us to kind of share this time together.
Right. You know, while I listen, I do a lot of listening, and I enjoyed, you know, when I came to Barbados, participated in the march, and I found that to be very moving. It was moving. It was. I'm happy that Barbadians are participating, but also, you know, just now listening to Don and listening to Jayman, there were some other things that I saw in the news today. And I think that it's very important that we not overlook some of these things. For one, Don, he expressed his opinion on how he felt that the next few months, the next year would go in reference to what the prime minister, may have had on her mind. But there was something else I need to add, and it's about the bank and what their real purpose is.
Yes.
As far as setting up a regional center in Barbados for the CARICOM, for the Caribbean region. There was a CBC like 30-second clip today. I guess the president of the bank, I'm going to say president, I really don't know. I don't remember what the title was, but apparently he got a spot on the CBC to speak. He got a spot, a 30-second, little clip. I mean, maybe that was just like a news press or something, or some sort of, press. But because the reporter didn't really ask any questions, and that's another thing. No one is asking follow-up questions to reference to it. You just see somebody put out a press release, and then we're supposed to just flow with that and accept what the press release is. The press release discussed a payment system that was set up in intra-Africa, in reference to the nations inside of Africa and how they transact their currency, different currencies for different nations. So apparently in 2022, the AFREXIMBANK has had an initiative. The initiative was to create a payment system called PAPS, PAPS, and I think it's Pan Africa Payment System, something for that. So let me just look up here. Pan African Payment System. And the news release here, the CBC, was discussing how the CARICOM system would attempt to adapt a version of this payment system. It's called PAPSS, Pan African Payment and Settlement System. Now the bank is here, as far as we know, as a commercial entity, as a I'm going to say for-profit investment. They are investing money in the Hyatt, from what we know, and now they are introducing some sort of inter-Caribbean payment system, probably similar. What they're saying is similar to how they transfer. So how the gentleman discussed was, say Barbados merchant wants to purchase something in a different currency, that this is supposed to make it easier for it to happen. I had just a few questions about how this happens. Where does the central bank system, which is already set up here, how do they feel about it? Is this going to be a competitive to the system here? I mean, like, do they understand what they're bringing in and how it is going to play a significant part? Now, when we talk about Trinidad and Jamaica, who did not sign on to this, I'm going to say the sovereignty agreement. I don't know if they're going to sign on to what is going on as far as payment, but they didn't agree with how the bank is want to run things. They did not sign on to that agreement. So how is this supposed to work? So I listened to Don, and there's some other things. Prime Minister is in charge of Ministry of Finance, Land and Planning and Development, whatever they call that, land and development.
Planning and development, yeah.
Right, and then also, right now she got a few months left in leading CARICOM. So when Don says that this is expedient, like this is moving so quickly, these all seem like the things that you need, all the parts you need to get these things going. You understand? To get this payment system moving, to get the land moving, to get all these transactions, and she's in charge of all of this. So I want Barbadians to think about that. Think about, like, just not think about what you're seeing, like we're seeing land moving, but think about what's going on in the background, because as far as I understand, the payment system is similar to like SWIFT. Like when you want to transfer money, say someone sends you or transfer money to your bank, they need a SWIFT number, and all of these things happen in the background of your transaction. How does this support Barbadians? How does it support small business? Because a small business person is not does not have any large transaction as reference to like trade outside. How is this helping? Does this money, does the African bank going to control all the transactions in reference to what's going in the Caribbean? So that is what I spent some time on looking into and seeing if that is running parallel to systems like Western Union and Zoom and all these other things that we do to transfer money. Like, is there going to be like a special app, a special, all of these things. So I found it really unnerving, and then when I listened to Don, I just said that this wow. You can see the circle, you can see the whole thing coming together, and no one is saying to the general public what is going on, how is this going on, how is this going to affect the general public? Are we now going to go to this African pay system, or like our transactions is going to go there? Like how is the banks? You got banks in Barbados. How are they perceived?
Okay, so this is instant payments. Look at this. Are you seeing this here now? Adrian, you were talking about Pan-African payment, leading edge technology connecting African banks, payment service providers, and other financial market intermediaries, enabling instant and secure payments between African countries. Instant payments made by originators to beneficiaries. So this is going to happen within the Caribbean. So this is the African version, but then this is going to be within the Caribbean countries.
Right, but remember, it's their initiative, right? It's not like it's part of our CARICOM, central bank system. It's their initiative. So what happens to the central bank system we're already working with? Is this going to be a competitor, or are they just like, how is this going to work?
Yeah. Let me say, before, I know Adrian has stuff that he wants to talk about. That before we segue into that, Adrian, any thoughts about this that Michelle is raising tonight?
The AFREXIMBANK, I like to refer to it as a vexing bank. Thereafter will always be a vexing bank. There's so much that we don't know about it that, frankly, we're going to have to wait to see what will occur. The agreement that they make states or countries sign on to if they want to have a bank in their country is it says a lot. It's a trade bank. I mean, when you look at the purpose and the functions and what this document says, the purpose for which this bank shall be established is to facilitate and promote and expand intra-African and extra-African trade. And everything that I've read in here, it deliberately states that this is about facilitating the sale of African goods externally and among African countries. There's no reference in there about developing anybody or developing any territory. There's no evidence to suggest that they come into the Caribbean as part of their charter to somehow benefit the Caribbean. There's nothing in there. It's a trade facilitating bank. There's an African Development Bank, actually. And this bank was part of an agreement since the African Development Bank's charter is about development, they saw trade as a necessary thing that they need to develop. And that's what this bank is charged with doing. So I still don't understand what the Caribbean expects or what Barbados expects from this bank other than a few jobs, and I don't know what else they expect. It's going to be interesting to see. And I know that the current government, the current leader in the US, when they get to understand what this bank is about, this whole thing about what's called South trade. And if you look up South trade, you'll see that the biggest player is the Chinese with their Belt and Road Initiative. And we already know that there's an established link between the Chinese Development Bank and the AFREXIMBANK with that regard. So it's going to be interesting to see what, if anything, Trump throws into the aspirations of this bank in the Caribbean, and what the government has expects from it.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Also, I would like to add, like, this is going to be in complete separate from what we do, you know, the FX, you know, like the financial exchange, how money goes from, like, when you want to transfer money, it's really transferred in euro and US dollar and then back out to wherever it's going. This will bypass all of it. There will be no, you know, financial trade like we're normally doing, like, excuse me, like we do it when we Western Union. That this is going to be separate to that system. So will the citizens be able to have to make a choice, or this will be forced? Like, you want to transfer something, you will have to use this system.
Well, we'll have to see if it's allowed. I think there's comments out there that suggest that the former Libyan leader was killed because he wanted to initiate some type of similar financial thing among African states to keep the, I think it's called the SWIFT process that most European and the US countries use. And so as I said, what the big players are going to think about this, if this is indeed part of their process, and if they're going to allow it, or what impact it can cause, we'll just have to wait and see, because there is not a whole lot that we can do other in terms of stopping it. It's a go. So we can just keep our heads down and inform ourselves as to what is likely to come down the pipe with regards to this. You know, it's not a lot of transparency.
Yeah, no, exactly. Not a lot of transparency. But let me find out from you, Mr. Hines, what is on your mind? We've been talking a lot about this, all of this development, is foreign investors, and you know, all of what's happening in Barbados. And you're sitting in there in cold Boston. What's on your mind in particular? What do you want to talk to us about tonight?
What I want to talk to Barbadians about is, you know, at the risk of being called a one-trick pony or someone that keeps repeating the same thing over and over, I will do so because I haven't seen the change that I think is necessary in the thinking of Barbadians with regards to their politics. Barbadians seems to have too many of them actually seem to have a dim view of politics, or that they define politics as just political party politics, which they don't want any part of. And I agree with them. There's really no need to get involved in party politics, but politics is much more than that. And I think that they need to come to that understanding that a lot of the issues, if not all of the issues in Barbados, have politics at its core, right? And if you're not engaged, then you're going to be a bystander to
Can
all
you break
these
down? I'm deliberately interjecting here. I would love for you to break down when you say they have politics at their core, because I hear people all the time. They say to me, "Oh, you've gone so political now. You know everything about you." So can you break it down? Why are you saying? Why are you calling it politics?
Well, I mean, just the etymology of the word politics comes from people. It's about people, you know. And let me give you a scenario, okay? So you have a car, and you have to put gas in that car. That's the main thing that, as you own it, that you would have to spend on with regards to that car, right? Right now, it's said that Barbados has the highest gas rates, gas prices in the Caribbean, if not the world, or somewhere up there. But it's ridiculously high, and Barbadians complain often about that. And I mean, if you dig deeper as to why that is, a lot of what is the total cost to you, the consumer, is you know, taxes and fees by government, right?
Yeah.
Legislatively. And legislation happens as a result of the Cabinet of Barbados meeting and agreeing on legislation, and then going to Parliament and passing it, becomes a bill and it's proclaimed, etc. And I mean, the cabinet is made up of whom? Right? Members of Parliament. And members of Parliament, how did they get there? You voted for them. That's politics. You have to be, and then you complain that you're spending too much money on gas. And that's just one scenario. There's so many other things. People continue to complain about the high cost of living in Barbados. How do you think it got there? Why do you think it's still that high? It's politics, not what you might define as politics, B and D political party. No, it's about the legislative process, either being used or not being used to make these things high, right? So you can't divorce the politics of it, because these people who are making these decisions that is causing consumer prices to be so high or not doing anything as a result of them being so high, right, are politicians. So you have to get involved, and you don't have to get involved by being a member of a political party or wearing a t-shirt or singing songs of loyalty to any politician. You don't have to do that. You can keep your mouth shut. But when you go to that poll, when you go to that voting booth, that you go informed about the reality of your existence in the country. Am I satisfied with the prices? Am I satisfied that my water is running and running, and I'm paying a reasonable going rate? What about my electricity? What about my garbage collection? What about transportation? How are my schools? How is my street? The street lights, are my roads paved? You go to the voting booth with that in mind, right? And oftentimes too many of us go because we have this diehardism about political parties, and we just ignore all of that stuff that matters and go and put our X for this person for whatever reason. I think people just don't think it through. And that's what we need to get back to exercise a little bit more curiosity, to trying to be a little bit more informed. And I understand there are people who will push back to you becoming more politically active in the sense of being informed about the economics of your situation, about the socialization of your situation, so that you can make an informed decision when you go into the voting booth. There are people who will try to embarrass you for becoming that type of citizen. When you open your mouth, if you make a grammatical error, they chastise you because it's all about silencing you. Or if you write something and you spell possessive there, T-H-E-R-E instead of T-H-E-I-R, they want to laugh you down, not because they're genuinely concerned about you using correct grammar or correct pronunciations. They want to silence you. So understand that the system as it is benefits a few people who want to protect that selfishly at your expense. And you have to rise above all of this naysaying, all of this negativity, all of these influencers and digital creators. You know who they are. You know why they're saying what they're saying in defense of a government that really should not be defended, right? You know why they're saying that, because they're getting through under the current dispensation. But you have to ask, what's in it for you? What's in it for me, right? What's in it for my community? My community is not seeing the benefits that you are personally seeing. So my vote can't go towards who you want it to go for, right? And so it's from that perspective that I always want to talk to that 60% of Barbadians who have decided that, B or D, same difference, they're done with that. And I want to ask them, when you walk away from the only thing that's allowed or available to you in this democracy, this Barbadian democracy, of holding a government to account, when you walk away from that, does it change anything for you? Do you truly want change? Do you want things to change, right? And as limited as the 5 years or so that we get to go to the voting booth and decide who will go to our parliamentary representatives, very limited as it is still a tool that you can wield to your satisfaction. It may not be overnight, because you have a political class that is entrenched in going to parliament under the pretense of working for you, but actually, and in reality, working for themselves, right? And so it's not going to. And I understand this is you've had D's in, and then you had the B's, and you had the D's, and you have not seen any progress towards your personal enfranchisement. So therefore, I understand why you would walk away from that, right? But I say to this, think of, you being cornered. I can understand if you're in an argument with someone and you see that the argument is getting really heated, and you're like, you know what, this is not beneficial to me. I'm going to walk away, and you walk away, right? But here's a situation where same argument, but you are cornered, and this person is really coming at you, right? And really threatening your existence. What are you going to do? You can't walk away. And to some extent, I think this is what it is. We are where we are in this country because we refuse to hold these politicians to account out of fear, out of political party diehardism, and simply just being too nice.
So
we have.
Mr. Hines, can I ask a question? Sure. Are you saying, and reminding people that we're getting ready to open the phone lines, and you can call in and discuss anything that we discussed tonight or anything that's on your mind. But I'm asking a question. So do you think then the issue is not really with the political parties? The problem that we're having is with the people? Do you think, is that what it is? Is it that is not just the parties, but the issue is really with the people not holding the parties accountable?
Don't use the term that there's an issue with the people. There's no issue with Barbadians. I actually understand those Barbadians who have walked away from it, right? They have a legitimate reason to walk away from it because over the years, it's justifiable. There really isn't a difference between the B's and the D's in terms of how they've run the country. There isn't. I mean, I can see 3-4 generations of young men on the blocks today, guys in their 60s, their 50s, their 40s and 30s, after decades of annual 70% or higher unemployment among school leavers. They go to the block, and it's right there. The evidence is right there. So I don't want to blame Barbadians who've walked away. I want to encourage them to look at their angst or look at fighting their angst with the system in a different light. That's what I want to do. The problem is the system of government. I've heard so many political leaders on the election campaign talk about what they're going to do when they get in, and when they get in, they don't do it. They don't do it, some of them because they really didn't have any interest in doing it. Some of them are realize when they get in that the parliamentarians who made them prime minister said, no, we don't want to do these things, even though that they had that as their election campaign rhetoric. They don't want to do them. And, not all prime ministers are maximum leaders. We have prime ministers who truly fear that they could lose their perch if they don't adhere or minister to their political equals in the parliament, right? Obviously, that's not with the one we have. The one we have is a pure demagogue right now. But these are the things that's happening. It's the system that, for intelligent people like Barbadians, we should be able to vote for the person that we call the leader if we are going to give that leader the amount of power a prime minister has in Barbados. It's just wrong. Right. And I understand there are prime ministers who've used that power in the past to assist working class Barbadians, but it always stands that power can be used to assist other people, the two fews, the shadows, etc. And I think that's what's happening today, that this prime minister is using all the powers of that office not to benefit the majority of the people, right? To benefit the two fews, friends and families, etc. So it is the system. It is not the people. I think we need to, rather than be loud and aggressive towards Barbadians who don't vote, that we understand why they don't vote and negotiate with them to return to the process, right? It's going to be hard to tell a man who's been, watching elections since 1976, right? And see that B's, D's, whomever that, the PG can say in the 80s that rice gone up, and now here in 25 we're still singing the same thing, right? Yeah. No progress. It's hard to tell this person that the way he sees things is wrong, right? But if we approach it where we try to tell them, hey, look, we got this one thing, right? If we don't like a government, we've always done this. If we don't like a government, we vote them out. End of story. We don't ask me any other questions about who's coming in or whatever. You're in, you're not doing a good job, you gotta go. That's been the Barbadian way. And we need to do that. And if it means that the person coming in and in 5 years, they don't get to do things that benefits the majority of the people, we do the same thing. We vote them out. And three or four cycles of voting governments out for not holding true to what they told us they were going to do, that caused them to be elected, we put them out. Eventually they will get the message. Yes. Eventually they will get the message. And I think the biggest thing that Barbadians should go to the polls with and demand of the political class is we need to change this system. This mixed government system is not benefiting us. This idea of having someone going to parliament, and then when they get to parliament, become a minister of government, then they go into cabinet, make decisions that they then can't come back out into parliament and argue against, doesn't benefit us. That's why we have so many pieces of legislation that were wrong, that needed to go back. Caswell called a lot of them, you know, and it's just wrong. It doesn't help us. All this pageantry that we have in this Westminster system, that is where the problem is. The people who walked away from it were right. They saw what it was, what it is. This system is, but they choose to walk away from it. I'm saying you were right. The system does not benefit you, but come back and demand change through your vote by holding these people to account. No politician should be walking around and saying that he couldn't attend to matters in his constituency because he was busy with ministerial duties. Did I elect you to be Minister of Health or whatever ministry you have? No. I elect you for my constituency, ensure that we get a fair share of government spend. I shouldn't be chasing you down trying to get my roads due, you know, or being left to fight and call brass tacks when the pipe on my street burst for 2 months and the water there running away. These things are ridiculous. They clearly are not doing the jobs that they're supposed to do. Representation, they're not doing it, right? There are some who do it, right? And they do a poor job as a minister of government. And there's some who are good ministers of government, but extremely poor representatives. So clearly they can't do both jobs. And that's why I say those two jobs should be separated. If you're a member of parliament, you should not be a minister of government. And if you're a minister of government, you should not be a member of parliament. If you want to be a minister and you are a member of parliament, you should be made to resign. You should be made to resign. Focus on what you were selected to do. And this nonsense about Barbadians voting for people and then having to put their local needs on the back burner because my representative going on and being a minister and is so tight up traveling the world as foreign affairs minister or whatever, and you're telling me that that is okay? No, it is wrong and it needs to stop. And I'm begging you, that's 60% of Barbadians, right, to come back to the polls and vote for nothing more than representation, and for a representative who's going to go to parliament and agitate for changing the system of government we have in a fundamental way that brings more accountability and more transparency to governance in Barbados. It's so sad to think that we can progress with, you know, with all these new things, all this new change that's coming around while being governed by a system as antiquated as Westminster. Yeah. It is so ridiculous, you know.
Wow, this is powerful. I'm deliberately didn't stop you. There's a caller on the line. Let me get to the caller. Caller, good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. I'm going to kindly ask you to turn all your devices off or down, way down, so that we can hear. I wonder, caller, were you listening to Mr. Hines a while ago?
Yes, good night, Adrian, for one Adrian, the next day, Adrian.
Yes, Mr. Basco.
I heard what Mr. Hines said, and I could not agree with him more. When you vote for somebody to represent your interests. That's what we have done. Vote for people to represent our interests, our needs. Not when you get to Parliament, you forget what you say and all the promises going through the door, as we have seen with this present regime. Okay, we didn't vote for that. And he is correct in everything. If I was near him, I would shake his hand a million times. Because he's saying the same thing that I continuously say on other mediums and elsewhere. And I join him and yourself, Marcia, and the lady there, in saying that enough is enough, no more. Because we have people in there that don't listen to us. They even want to tell you that they got the power to make sure that you can't march. And that makes me laugh, you know. You have your rights, Marcia. We all have our democratic rights. As Adrian has simply put it, you know, I wish you hope that you would have me on more regularly. I love to hear him, you know. And yes, we want representation. If I vote in Marcia Weeks, I vote Marcia Weeks in for proper representation and proper leadership. A good leader is a good listener. If you're not a good listener, you are not a good leader.
Yeah.
If you're not, I will repeat that for everybody to hear again. If you are not a good listener, you are not a good leader. So I congratulate Adrian. Keep up the good work. Keep up the analyzation that you do. And your my name sick. So keep it up, Adrian. Keep up the good work. And tomorrow we march for change. We march for proper representation. And we must save Barbados and get back Barbados to how it once was.
Yes.
Continue to go work, Marcia. God bless you. God bless you, Marcia. Reach sure.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. Thanks for calling. Yes. Listen, I mean, what you just said there, I mean, it's just mind blowing. I've heard Dr. Ferdinand talk about this already as well, about, you know, voting for representation. And over the years, Michelle and Adrian, that's how I voted. You know, I have voted like that. I don't focus on party. So it's very hard, you know, just to hear people putting a label on me. I vote. I literally sit down, and if somebody brings something to the house, I read what they've said, what they have there. I question. I focus on who is in my constituency, you know, and so on. I vote for representation. I don't vote party. You know, so to hear you say that now, it's just so refreshing. And you know, but you know, Mr. Hines, where do we begin? Where do we begin? How do we, you know, Michelle, how do we begin to peel back all of that for our people, that all the layers of you know, looking up to this party, and I'm wearing this color, and you know, how do we, you know, Michelle, any thoughts on that? Because Mr. Hines was speaking all this time. Any thoughts on that?
I listened to Adrian, and he's absolutely right. To me, that there is a conflict. There is a conflict.
I don't know what it is. It's like something with your microphone. Can you speak up a little bit or come a little closer? There's something that's not clear. Yeah.
I said I listened to Adrian, and I agree. There is something about being a minister and being part of a representation that how can you, I don't understand in I call it Bajonomics, because some of this is just crazy to me. How does a minister, I mean, well, I'm going to say it. How does the prime minister be the prime minister and the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of whatever and the Ministry of this and so on and so on? How do you even do that job and do it correctly? That makes absolutely no sense, you know. So I'm completely baffled. Like how that's a lot of work. That's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work for me even to research this bank. Never mind, you know, like all of these ministries. Like, how does that happen? That's why when you see all of these things not completing, it's because I'm going to say it, we half-assing it right now. We just like do a half-ass job. It's not fair to the people. Then I would like to also say that when you have people who need work, they are desperate to raise their families. They are You know, they're just desperate. They just out here just want to be good people. No one wants to steal. No one wants to rob. But at the same time, you lean on these ministers for work. You lean on them for, oh, he's going to pay my bills and all of this stuff. This is where the problem is. This is where the problem is. We have to have it where our citizens are able to stand on their own, take care of themselves without having to go and begging minister for something. This is unheard of. It's not right, and this is how the system gets corrupted.
Yeah.
Where you just $100 shirt or whatever it may be. But this is how, because people are so desperate for work, need to feed their families, and this should not be a system. It should not be a system.
Yeah, someone is. I'm laughing. I'm laughing at this person here. They said I should be deported. Francie Jordan for the win tonight. That's the greatest comment. I love it, Francie Jordan. If that's your real name, you made me laugh tonight. I tell you, I personally saw that comment and put it up. That's hilarious. You can tell I love the laugh. That's a good joke. That one is a good joke.
Yeah, I've been told that I'm going to be arrested when they come into Barbados and all that kind of stuff too. So it is what it is. I can't shut up. I don't know how to. I
agree.
All these words and her speakers on various issues, leader of the opposition, that we are a free country and that we should be able to speak.
Never stop, never quit, never tire.
Yeah, they're funny. That's funny. But somebody had a very good question. They were asking to find if you have an example of a place that does that. So, but just hold that thought. There.
Does what?
Vote for representation. So hold that thought. Don't answer. There's a caller, and then we'll come to you, Adrian. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And good night to your panel. Yes, and I want to thank Mr. Hines for his very clear and pellucid explanation of what representation should be. But I think you got to start from the beginning. Does the persons that we vote for understand what representation should be? Because you can't have a minister of government resigning from the government saying that her views and the government views are not lining up, but she goes and sits down in the back bench. You got put in there to represent your people. Your people's views are not being, because that's my understanding, the fact that she's saying that her views that they're not lining up with the views of the party or the government. But you sit in the back bench and continue merrily. If the views are not lining up, you all go someplace where your views line up so you can represent your people.
I just want to say
another minister saying to us that the land in JEMMOTTS LANE was sitting down earlier so we could give it away. And that's representing people. But these people went in there looking for jobs. You go through the background, as much as there are lawyers and stuff, go through the history and look at their personal development before they got in there. Mm-hmm. And you would see a lot of them. That's why they tour the line like that. And they don't give a hell about representing the people. Mm-hmm. Because you cannot tell me that you representing people and our education system, simple thing like that. Nobody asked to have the new dress code brought in. That was just thrown on us. And now they realize the disaster that it is. They're trying to walk it back. Mm-hmm. So it shows that if these people actually went there to represent people, the government would have already imploded, because 99% of the decisions they make that is being made, a lot of them are not agreeing with, but they're going along with it because they're looking for pension.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you something, caller. When you vote, first of all, caller, do you vote?
Yes, I do. It does vote. They vote representation too, although everybody in Barbados, everybody at some point in time aligned themselves to a party. But there was a time that I did not vote because I didn't see the person could represent me, and I refused to vote.
Okay.
So they don't see that person could represent my view.
Okay, but you generally you say you generally vote for vote representation. Did you vote?
Yeah.
Did you vote the last election? Are you part of the
Yes,
60%?
I did vote.
You vote, so you're
I
not part
vote
of the
all the
60%.
time, except for that time when a particular person was representing my constituency. They said, no, he can't represent me.
Okay, all right. Adrian, any thoughts? Because this is more directed to what you were saying. Any thoughts about what the callers said?
Yes, with the Marsha cattle issue, when it came out, a lot of people thought that was the biggest thing. That's a big problem in Barbados because there are people in Barbados who encourage this behavior where the party is paramount in Parliament when Parliament doesn't recognize parties. That when a member of Parliament gets up and says something that can be construed as not in alignment with the party's position, we think it's a big thing. We think, oh, they're not united. That's nonsense. He's there to represent his constituency. So if he has a difference of opinion, that should be praised and applauded, not ridiculed or think that something is wrong, right? Because we encourage this stifling unity of the party whip over representatives who then believe that they have no choice than to follow the party line. Otherwise, they can't go back to the constituency, because the belief is that even though my name is on the ballot, that the person goes to the booth and vote party. So that when the party leader makes a decision, everybody else has to fall in line. And usually this one is making decisions that are not in your interest. So, and then we want to know where the representative is. But the truth is, tell the truth. Did you really go and vote for the representative, or you use the representative as a proxy to vote for your party? Because I believe that those 230 loves demonstrate that you voted for the party using the representative as a proxy. So how now do you want the representative to step out of line with the party to see things your way? It's a double standard that we need to speak to. The Marsha cattle issue speaks to this. Right now in cabinet, if you don't agree with cabinet, you have to leave. That's the rule. That's the cabinet rule, right? It's called the collective rules. Even though you may disagree within the cabinet meeting, if the majority carries, you also carry. And when you come out now to be a parliamentarian, you do have leeway to say something against it, but the political party whip is so strong, even in parliament, right, that you come out of parliament and you still fall in line. And that's what Marsha Calla did. And that's why when people thought it was a big thing, I said, nah, this is nothing. This is powerful.
Yeah, but if you look at what Mr. Thorne did, you remember when the government sent home the people working alongside the road? It was sometime in December, I can't remember the year, but in the debate, Thorne was the person adamant that he could not send home just poor people. All the poor people were being sent home. And he made a decision that he can stop in the government. Right. So if you were, that to me is where call representing his people, because he didn't hide them out. He said to send home those people alongside the road was a travesty by the government, and he defended it. And eventually he can take it no more among them, and he moved out.
Yeah, I agree.
Brown talking about her land tax bill. There got a lot of people in Barbados under pressure of the land tax bill, but she's still saying on the government.
Mr. Hines. Well, first of all, thank you so much, caller, for calling. And
I want to say something.
Let Mr. Hines. He was started talking. Let him finish, and then we'll go to you. Go ahead, Mr. Hines.
So, before the speaker came on, there was a question about where does the type of representation that I spoke about occur. You remember that, or you want me to talk about that now?
Right, they're asking, yes, where this kind of what you're speaking about, where does it actually occur?
Well, at the risk of pointing to something that happens in the Great Satan, there's a lot of Barbadians have negative views about America. At the risk of that, I can only speak, and America is a large expanse of a country. That the level of politics even at a municipal level within a state varies, right? So I live in a small town in a very small state, and I can speak to what happens here, that we hold people to account. We had a guy who was a council member for 10 years, you know, stalwart in the community and, you know, seemed undefeated. And we had this young lawyer lady from Cape Verde, strong accent, could hardly understand, but she walked the length and breadth of this city and endeared herself to people and defeated that 10-year veteran in one election because people saw in her what they weren't seeing in the other guy, right? And we need to get to a place like that. And she knows that she's going to keep that seat, right, by doing right by the people. We have a mayor that runs on challenge because he does all the fundamentals. Make sure the streets are clean, make sure the streets are swept, garbage, sewage, you name it, he does. So when somebody comes to challenge him, we ask them, what are you going to do to improve whatever? And they don't really, and that's why a lot of times he runs unchallenged because the guy's just doing a fantastic job. And there's no need to change him. But let him step out of the line, I guarantee you, let him step out of the line. Because up here, you could do a really fantastic job 5 years in a row. And that 6th year you mess up, you're going to hear people say, do your job. You're not doing your job. And they'll kick you to the curb. I mean, just look at football with Brady. Brady was the best thing that happened for the Patriots for season after season. And then he started to fail. And what people were saying, like, hey, get rid of him. You know, so that's what you need to do. And that is my what representation is all about. It does happen in my neck of the woods, right? Where people, I mean, even or, and I'll finish it with this, even or U.S. senators and U.S. Congress people. I can call Gabe Amono, who's one of my U.S. guys. He's an American of African descent. Gabe Amono just beat another incumbent guy. I can call his office right now. I'll get a voicemail, leave a message, and I'll get a call back tomorrow. Guaranteed. Because they know if they don't listen to the people that put them there, when they come back, the people are going to say, nope, next person. Just like that. Just like that, you know, and that's where we need to get to. We need to get to that point. Again, Massachusetts for a long time had a Republican governor, and Massachusetts is a very deep Democratic state. Why did this man keep his job? He did his job. Plain and simple. He did his job. Party didn't matter because the guy did his job, you know, and that's where we need to get to. You know, if you have a representative who's doing a fantastic job, vote for that representative, right? And hold them to that. Don't forgive them when they, you know, go on and get a ministerial job and then come back and tell you that. I hear so many of them. I even hear the prime minister, when she became prime minister, talk about 30 years in parliament. She wished she had more time in the day to do for her constituencies. I don't understand why people put up with this nonsense. I don't understand it, but there are places throughout this great expanse of a country called the USA where representatives are held to account. You just saw, I'll finish with I honestly will finish with this last one. We might have seen on the news in these red states, these Republican MAGA congressmen who are getting their constituents are very upset with them, you know, because they didn't expect Trump to be doing. They voted for Trump. They didn't expect Trump to be doing what he's doing, and they're giving it to these representatives. That's how they are, you know. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Michelle, somebody was asking, who is the young lady on the panel? That the young lady. Well, this is the Dumplings in Diaspora segment, and we have Mr. Adrian Hines. Is on. You just heard, and you're hearing now from Michelle Daniel, who helps us. Michelle is even on the team that helps to plan the marches. Believe it or not, Michelle is very, very involved. So this is.
I try to help as much as I can. From where I am, I try to help as much as I can.
Yes, she's in Florida. So go ahead, Michelle. Just speak up a little bit more in the microphone. Thank you so much.
Right. I listened to the caller, and yes, this, you know, if you don't align with what's going on, you must resign. But also, that same person is in charge of what is it? Information, the technology ministry.
No. She gave that up. She had to quit that.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like these are conflicts. Like you can't do your job if you are stretched so far apart. I don't understand how you can represent one thing and got all these other assignments to do. It's impossible to get it done and get it done efficiently and get it done where the people are satisfied. This is impossible.
Yes. Very interesting there. I am saying that it seems to me, while we wait on another caller, I know we're all listening. I think these kinds of shows, I think it's very instrumental, because I know when I'm learning. I know when like layers, things are leaving my mind, or I am being affirmed in what I believe, because I believe a lot of what Mr. Hines is saying. But I am saying it seems to me that one of the things that we need to be looking at now is changes in the Constitution. We need to be sitting down and writing down the things that we want, how we're going to change the system of governance to be able to get what it is that we need. And it's going to come through the Constitution. Isn't that so, Mr. Hines?
Yes. The steps really is to lay out what we currently have, so people understand what we currently have, and then they can identify the weaknesses that don't address them as citizens of this country, and then formulate ideas as to what these changes should be. Then when it is election time or leading up to election time, you come back to when the politicians are out, asking you for their vote, probably the only time some of them ever get back into the constituencies. You tell them, hey, look, these things need to be changed. What is your position on this? They'll probably hand you their manifesto that speaks to, promises that they've made for the last 20 years and regurgitated. You tell them, no, I will vote for you based on these, And hopefully there are politicians out there who are, yes, they're interested in getting into parliament because they truly want to, help. They want to participate, give back, etc. That they will see this as a need. That this is something the people are asking for, and they themselves, formulate a manifesto, speaking to these issues that the people are asking about, and hopefully there will be a gelling of political aspirants and active voter citizens in terms of what they would like to see. The voters go vote for them in the majorities necessary to bring these changes about, because you can't really make any changes to the Constitution unless you have at least 2/3 majority. In most instances, some of the things that need to be changed in the constituency will require that. So you will get those numbers in, and then they will start to work on these promises, these agreements that they've negotiated with the voters to change, to bring transparency, integrity, bring true checks and balances to the powers and office of the Prime Minister and to the cabinet as well. Parliament should always be supreme over the cabinet with regards to being a check. And things like that. Nothing in Barbados is going to work well. Even if you are honest, you are working in a system that is dishonest by nature. Westminster is a dishonest system. It thrives on patronage, which runs very close, if not over, into corruption. And people will always have misgivings about what you're doing. And that bogs down any government, bogs down any country, if you're always operating under this blanket of assumed distrust. The system sucks, not only for the citizens, which is very clear, it sucks for you trying to get your 5-year program in place and done for the people. It does. So that, there's a list of processes you have to step through in order to get to that point where we see true governance reform through changes to the Constitution.
Yes.
Right.
I'm writing governance reform through changes
to the Constitution. I mean, changing the title of the Governor General to President could could only occur by a 2/3 majority expressive vote in Parliament. That's the only way. That's in the Constitution currently. So to make changes to the Constitution, the Constitution tells you how you can make those changes. And this is difficult for people who are impatient. This is difficult for people who process their environment through their emotions. They know things are wrong. They want immediate change. This is not something that's going to be inviting to them. But I prefer this approach because I am not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I want to see Barbados democracy develop to a point where people truly believe in it and therefore strengthen it. This idea about potentially breaking things down, I am not for that at all. I'm about working through the system to change the system, and we are not doing that. I mean, I guess the last election only had 40% people voted. 40%.
Only 40% voted.
Yeah.
I love your approach in trying to re-energize and educate that 60% and to see where they're at. First of all, what's going on with you, to address that and to get them out. I love that. That's practical, and I love that. And there's something Pedro is saying here, Michelle, and I'm thinking that I was thinking the same thing as Pedro wrote here, that it would be interesting to do a comparison, with, although I think that most of them are probably Westminster when you think of it,
Yes.
with the islands who gained independence or who became republic, right?
Yeah.
To compare.
Go ahead. We could do that, but I suspect that after we do that, we're going to see that there really isn't a measurable difference between the two, because what it is to be a constitutional monarchy versus a republic with regards to how our constitutions and our governments are set up, it's a meaningless comparison. The two terms are just, paper statements. They are meaningless in terms of what type of governance we really need to grow the countries and to have people truly involved in their democracy. Constitutional monarchy is just a title. It is meaningless in every sense of reality. I went over this before. And so that when you remove from the Constitution all the language that points to having a fully owned local monarchy, and therefore now you have in that Constitution the statements and framework of a republic are just that. What makes a country a republic is either you have a functioning real king, monarch, which we've never had, right? Or you have representative governments, which we've always had since even before independence. So that on independence, having representative governance, which we do, we vote for representatives, and having a constitution makes us a republic in every sense and in real terms. That's what we were. The problem was that within that representative government, which is a republic, we have this office called the Prime Minister, which functions with all the powers of old ancient monarchs. The royal prerogative. A prime minister can do as they please, and it's still legal, right? Because the checks and balance comes from the parliament. And as you see today, there's no checks and balance in the Barbadian parliament today, because the people who function as parliamentarians are members of the cabinet, all 26, 27 or whatever, right? That is the problem. And we can change it. We don't even have to get rid of Westminster. We can make Westminster our own, just like we took cricket and we call it Calypso cricket, right? We can, and cricket was being a British game. Now we've changed it to, very West Indian, to make it Calypso cricket. We can change Westminster to accommodate what we see as weaknesses, right? And put in things that we see that will strengthen it. For one, the cabinet should have a fixed number of ministers. If you're going to continue to draw ministers from the parliament, right, it should never be to such a number that makes parliament ineffective in being a check on the cabinet, right? Prime Minister should no longer be able to call elections as they see please. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't have to say anymore. It's just plain ridiculous that the Prime Minister pull out, when it's politically and electorally advantageous to them to call an election. That's wrong. That's not democracy. So those are two things that I can speak to right now that needs to change to move the country ahead, right?
Yeah. Let me hear Michelle. I think people are more listening than they are calling.
Yes.
Michelle,
this is very good. Very good.
Call and challenge me, people. I don't know everything. Call and challenge me.
I also want to add to that I believe that Barbados is such a young democracy. It's only 1966. Independence only 1966 compared to the U.S. 1766. But the founding fathers had one thing in mind when the Constitution was developed. The American soil would never, ever, ever, ever be ruled by a king ever again. So those things were in mind from the very beginning. So that when we have, presidents like what we have right now, he believes he's a king. He believes he's a king, but there are things there that's keeping him from doing what he needs to. And they thought about this so long ago. So that's what I think that we should have in Barbados, the right person, the right government that believes that this should come first. This land should never be ruled by a king ever again, and actually do the work. It's hard work. It's not going to happen overnight. Do the hard work to make sure that the Prime Minister just cannot have this kind of power. It sounds crazy.
But 1 second, Michelle. I hate to stop you there, but a very good point you raised. I have a caller on the line. Caller, if you could kindly turn down all of your devices or off all of your devices, that would help us a lot. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. I can still hear myself. I hear myself. If you could turn down everything. Thank you.
Definitely everything is down,
Yes,
I just want to call. Nice show you guys doing, marvelous show. You all got me thinking. Thanks to Adrian, thanks to everybody. One of the things I want to ask is how do you really enforce the law to make sure politicians are held accountable for the wrong they have done, present and past? Because there's a lot of bad things that happen in the past, and people are in the sunset enjoying themselves and no accountability for the wrong they have done. This is what's happening to Barbados now with leadership of it, is that these people have committed some of the worst crimes that Barbados have ever seen. And are we going to let them get away with it? This is the look, they're passing laws to keep us governed. And they're working for us. It's like somebody can take over your business. So they're things that the constitution and the government have get kidnapped from the people because they was working for us. They see that we working for them now.
Okay. Yeah. Good question there. Thank you, caller, for calling. What I'm going to ask, so I free up the line. You can now just listen to the response. Okay. But thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, caller. Thanks for the question. Unfortunately, I don't have good news. I believe in following the law as it is. Laws need to be changed, but if you're going to want to prosecute anybody, you got to look to what laws are currently available to do that. And that would be the challenge for anybody who thinks that there are politicians today doing things that are illegal to address that through current law. I don't know that off the top of my head what laws we can bring to any particular politician or any individual within the government that can punish them in the sense that you seem to be asking for. There are things that happen or are alleged to occur during elections that would contravene certain laws with regards to the holding of elections. If there is truth to any of these things, then that they can be proven. Unfortunately, the way the law is written, it's written where you have to make appeal to the director of public prosecutions, who will then make the determination as to whether they're going to prosecute. And that usually never happens, because whether we like it or not, behind the scenes, a prime minister is so powerful that, you know, they influence all of these offices as to who gets them. They influence it behind the scenes. So it is likely that you will get a DPP who, not officially, unofficially, has relations, feelings, whatever, for the current government, and therefore they will rule, you know, that they see no reason to prosecute, and nothing will happen, right? So I tend to move away from this idea of holding politicians to account for their wrongs in the current environment that we have, where everything is influenced by that office and the power that it has. It is usually are likely to be a fight that you will not win, a waste of money, a waste of time. I think it is more important for us to educate ourselves, to inform ourselves as to this as to our governance system, as to our constitution, to understand in Westminster as it is practiced today, and become more confident and more strident in our calls for reformation, for reform, to it, so that we, you know, there's nothing wrong with going into an election to vote on one single issue. Go start somewhere. And I think that one single issue should be governance reform, because a lot of the things that we want to occur will not occur with the way things are done in this country. I maintain that. So unfortunately, caller, I don't know of what laws you can use. You can't just say we need to prosecute them. You have to have some law that you can point to that their actions run contravention of, and therefore try to do it that way. But I think that such an approach is a lost cause in the way Westminster and its tentacles, the tentacles of that prime minister's office, goes throughout the government.
Michelle, go ahead, go right ahead, Michelle.
I just want to sidestep like a little bit. You know, we continue to talk about laws, but we have to also say that you know, these are also people. These people that we put in power, they are people first before the laws come in. And what you know, as a public administrator, you have a moral and an ethical duty to serve the people, to do right by them. This is where, like, we always talk about how we've strayed from church and we've strayed from, you know, other things in our lives. But what happens to those who went to school with the intention of public service and then get in the position, and now, I mean, like, we have to discuss that. These are human beings. And, you know, in academia, there's a term or a concept called administrative evil. Administrative evil, and how it is explained. The example they use is the extreme. The extreme example they use is the Holocaust. And
okay. Michelle, I think that whole concept is a very important concept, which is what Adrian was alluding to. But write it down for me. I want you to explain that before the show is ended. But let me let this caller. You know, but thank you so much. Caller, welcome to the Marcy Week Show. You barely got in, man. Welcome. What's on your mind?
Yes, Ms. Hines. Sorry, Ms. Week.
Yes.
No, Mr. Hines just outlined some things there, but I will go back a bit. Tell Mr. Hines why we are in this position. Could he be in the 50s when Sidney Bernard Allen was here running, I think, on the country with guns and so on. And when Tom Adams presented the check talking about with the government to the people of Barbados from Sidney Bernard Allen, you see, we had Mr. Cameron Tudor. Why we in this mess? I can remember one night at a meeting in Redmond's Village. Mr. Cameron Tudor's when Richie Haynes said, lock them up. Mr. Cameron Tudor said, I don't like locking up thing, because if you punish me. The next time I come to government, I will punish somebody, which I think was a big mistake because we should hold people accountable. It's just like the giving away of our land. When you give away our land, if I'm giving you something, Ms. Weeks or Mr. Hines, I have to write a document where land is pertaining or anything, registered within the Treasury, pay to register within the Treasury of Barbados. I want to know if this land was registered in the Treasury that we give to the African Exim Bank. As I said, we are not against development, but it's the way that this thing was done. Therefore, if this is the case, something has to be wrong. Another thing is, we have any official gazettes? We used to get after legislation, you will get a gazette. Nowadays, you don't see any gazettes. Is this land published in the official gazette? Or you can tell me, go to the website, the government website, look at .org or this thing and see what has been done. Mrs. Weeks, I think this is one of the greatest mistakes that we have to live with. Because if these people decide at any time to pack up their business and go, they could sell our land and leave with our silver. Who can we hold accountable for this here? And then when you look around the surroundings of JEMMOTTS Lane, Vine Street, and those, what is going to happen? The bank does not operate like the bank in Wildy, which is our Caribbean Development Bank. And then you have immunity to all of these people. It's like, Ms. Weeks, we are in a bind, and we are calling on these people to come and explain to the people of Barbados what is going on. We elected them.
Yes.
They are our servants, not our masters. It's about time we open our eyes and see what is going on.
But let me ask
it is not it's not about DLP or BLP. It is about the people in Barbados.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. Caller, are you in a position to come out tomorrow to the march?
We'll be there. We'll
be there, yes. And because we have to make our voices heard, we are hearing it's a done deal, but we need some more. We need some more answers. There are lots of things that we don't understand about it. But so thank you, caller. Thanks for calling. God bless. Let me hear Michelle. Just go through what you were saying there about administrative evil, because you shared that concept with me, sometime, and it's interesting. We only have 3 minutes, and then and we still have to go back to Mr. Hines and then close up. But continue. Go ahead, Michelle. Can't hear. You're muted, Michelle.
Sorry. Yes, in academia, there's a concept called administrative evil. When you are in public service, you have this morals. Morals are about, your value system, and morals are measured on, cultural things. But the ethics in administrative, you are here to serve the people. You're here to serve the people and do right by the people. Excuse me. So one of the extreme examples of how they use to explain what administrative evil is they use the Holocaust. When we think about the Holocaust, we always think about the leader, the leader who actually gave the order. But we don't think about the people down the line. We don't think about the soldiers. We don't think about the secretary. We don't think about the guy who dug the ditches. We don't think about the person who washed it down. We don't think about the driver who drove all those people to these camps. We don't think about the people who did not feed women and children. They are responsible also for this atrocity. So when we look into the administration, we just can't look at the person at the top. We have to look at all the people that are around. So when land and things get sold, this cannot happen in a vacuum. There has to be other people around who see these things happening, who knows what's going on, who lend their expertise. They're practitioners. They are lawyers there. There are people who are land registry people. All of these people are part of this, what we call administrative evil, because it cannot be done alone. Where are they? Why we don't hear from any of them? Why they don't say that this is not right? They are lending a hand, and at the same time, Some of them are not, when I say political appointees, meaning like they have a career in government. So when, like, for example, when Germany was being rebuilt after the Holocaust, right? Some of those people kept their jobs. Some of those people were hired in the US in NASA, you know, engineers and doctors. These are the people, like, so when the administration changed, there are people in the background that were there for that atrocity, there for this problem that we have here, and do they get to stay in the same space that they are right now? That is also what we have to look at. We have to look at those in the background. Just because we don't see their faces every day doesn't mean that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're supposed to be administrators for the people, not for themselves and not for whoever is telling them to do things, administrative evils. They are supposed to be there for the people. Exactly, complicit behavior.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Very well said. Before I go to Adrian, I want to apologize to my viewers. I had so many topics on the show. I think I just, you know, you know, you fill up your plate when they say your eye too full. Is that the term?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my eye too full. So I had this big plate of things for you here. I researched the whole history of the General Hospital and all of that, and but that means Sunday night is gonna be awesome. All right. So we're going to look at that, and we're gonna have Mr. Murray is gonna be on, and Miss McLean. So, you know, we're going to dig into the history and really go into exactly what does it mean for us. You know, I had all the picture. That's a picture of the hospital, guys. So you know, we'll show that again on Sunday night and dig into it some more. And I wanted to also tell them, Adrian, and remind them that next up on Bay Street for the giveaway or the garage sale, right? Because I love the term, the garage sale.
It's a garage sale.
Yes, it's a garage sale or a giveaway, right? Because, you know, they're selling these things all you know, that they're selling them out cheap. As Don saying, it's a quick sale. They're trying to hurry. The geriatric hospital is 6.7 acres, and that is valued at $204 million. Okay, $204 million. Okay, it is the geriatric hospital is valued at government headquarters. That's up next. That's our number 10 Downing. I even have the video. I did a mic on the move. We're going to do that on Sunday night. The government headquarters valued at $121 million, and that is 4 acres. The government headquarters, that is going to be demolished, right? We know the geriatric hospital already. That's going to be demolished. But the thing is, what are they selling it for? What's going to happen? Are they going to give that away too? What's going on there? We don't know. So we want to bring you up to date on that. So that is going to happen, right? Now, remember we have the march tomorrow, and we are not going to let anybody intimidate us. We're not going to let them ascribe to us who we are, telling us we are from this party and it's that party doing it. It's a lie. So we're not going to allow them, you know, Michelle, as we were discussing in our meeting, we're not going to allow them to tell us who we are. That's all part of the propaganda that they are spreading. We make up the opposition. We are from Barbados, 280,000 of us. You could be from the Barbados Sovereign Party. You could be from the UPP, OPP, whatever the party is, BSP, every one of them, and with a PPP, whatever the party is, whatever that party is, we make up 280,000 people in this country, and we make up the opposition, and we are here. And we are coming out tomorrow to say to the country, to the government, we love our country, and we are not going to support concrete over culture, profits over people. We're not going to do that. Sure. We understand that when the walls rise, when the concrete goes up, or beaches our windows to the sea, they will disappear. That's what we understand. And as a people, we're coming together. Listen to me, Barbados. Do not let them brand you. Do not let them brand you. That is part of silencing you and causing you to go quiet. It's propaganda. Propaganda. And they use the state-owned television to do it. CBC to do it. It's called propaganda. We are smarter than that. We've learned so much on this show. Do not let them tell us who we are. Okay? Let me give the final word to Mr. Hines before we go tonight.
Here, Marcia. I agree 100%. So to the last caller, I would just say, sir, prosecuting anybody has to be done within the law. Our emotions and what we believe to be moral is not necessarily the law. And that's what has to be done. I think it would be a lost cause, but that's just my view. Don Leacock and elections, I agree with him 100%. There is no policy or law that says that you have to have 12 months out of office in order to get it. There isn't. That's just a precedent. It is better to do that, but it's not required. So I do think that she will have the election in November of this year or November of next year, because the current UN head will demit office December 2026. The next election in Barbados is constitutionally due January 2027. That is the reason we had an election in 2022. The next thing is, it is not, for me, it is no longer AFREXIMBANK. It is the Vexin Bank or a Vexin Bank. And that's how I like to call it. You see, actually it rolls off the tongue easier. It's a Vexin Bank.
A Vexin
Bank,
yeah.
Yes, a Vexin Bank. And people vote. Bide your time and go out and vote. No government should get your vote that presides over the mayhem that is currently in Barbados. That one thing alone, there are many others, but that one thing alone, you should not give your vote to anybody who can't do anything about this. After saying many times that they had the answers, vote them out. And in the interim, show up in your numbers to march. You know, you might, it doesn't look likely, but it is likely if you show up in your numbers that you might touch a soft spot, if there's one, in her heart to change course to some extent and to give some relief to you guys until you get to that election and do what you should do. Drink them out, eat them out, and then vote them out.
Eat them out and vote them out.
Yes,
I love
vote
it.
them out. They don't deserve to be in. They don't deserve to be in. 50 murders last year. 16 no. It's ridiculous.
$300 and go to the supermarket and use it and go to the bathroom and then watch yourself and go and vote. Good. All right. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. See you
Good night, Barbados. Love you, Barbados. Good night.
All right. Good night, guys. Take care.
To all my friends and family, lock your house before your party. They might watch your property and come offer your big money. You must protect your legacy. Leave something for your family. Tell them real and come again. But come and take a job with me. But just not for sale. My people not for sale. No, enjoy the beach and sun all day. But just not for sale. This place not for sale. I know you love the PM. The whole world has been watching. I know you love Rihanna and you can't wait to come for over. You can't wait for the weekend to eat fish down in Oystins. I know you love the people, be friendly to all, and you love up the accent. Every day people crying out about debt and not for we living from paycheck to paycheck. Loan sharks lurk in society. Complain of agents who struggle financially. But I'm telling my friends and family, lock your house before your party. They might watch your property and come over your big money. You must protect your legacy. Leave something for your family. Tell them real and come again. But come and take a job with me. But they just not for sale. My people not for sale. No, enjoy the